and we'll find a way to relate to you. You know what I mean? We have somebody here that has been through exactly what you've been through multiple times.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people here to support that.
Yeah.
So, man.
You know,
vehicle are taking fire on primary and secondary positions, requesting immediate engagement and overhead control. Engage.
Everyone, welcome back to the Not So Special Forces podcast. This is it. This is episode number 17. We are live on station, Ridgeland, South Carolina. This is part of our OpFob series. I am truly blessed to be here today with the podcast of the Miles Gargarious Foundation. Today's episode is going to be badass. I got a retired First Sergeant of the United States Marine Corps. I cannot wait to get you introduced, everyone, to him.
All right.
So this is it. This is TJ. TJ, welcome to the podcast, sir.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you.
You know, what an awesome week so far, isn't it, being down here at the FOB, man?
Dude, it's been amazing. I hope you're feeling what we feel like every time we come out here.
Rejuvenating. It's been fucking incredible, man. When I got the call, the invite to come down here, they told me that I'd be able to get involved with you guys and meet guys like you, man. And the time that we've spent together so far, you know, shooting clays, going bowling, shooting paintballs at each other, man. This has been a truly rewarding experience for me, man. And I am truly honored, and I feel truly blessed, man, to be part of this and to be in your guys' lives this week, man. So when I approached you about getting you on the podcast, man, you know, the term we came up with, Marines first to fight, first to podcast.
Absolutely.
And I'm thrilled that you want to get involved with this, TJ. So thank you, man, for sharing your story. I cannot wait to get your story, your service preserved, man, because I know it's been an incredible ride for you, man. And I can't wait for you to tell us all about it. So
thank
Chris.
you, man. This
I
is appreciate
awesome,
this opportunity too, man.
Yeah,
It's great to meet you.
So what's up, man? Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? And what made you join the Marine Corps, man?
Yeah, so I grew up in a little town called Winter Garden right outside of Orlando. Yeah, it was dirt roads and orange groves when I was a kid. In high school as a senior, I remember the teacher putting the TV on and us watching in the class the second plane hit the tower in New York. I was still a senior, but that next year is when I graduated. And I just felt like I needed to do something. So right after graduation, well, right around that summertime, I joined the Marine Corps and shipped off in August of 02.
All right. Why the Marine Corps? I'm always interested in hearing that. Why the Marines and why not the Navy, the Air Force?
You know, it's funny. I had one of my best friends, Tim Lawson. His dad was a Marine, but he was really pushing us because of the 9/11 stuff to join the Air Force. But I always wondered why, man. His dad had the flag and the bumper sticker and everything on his car, and I was like, man, why is this guy pushing us? Tim actually joined the Navy.
So he had all the Marine Corps garb on his car.
Yeah,
but he was
his house. He had the Marine Corps flag on his house.
He was trying to join the Air Force.
Yeah, he was pushing me.
Well, maybe he knew some things.
Yeah,
right?
well, he actually drove us to the recruiter.
Okay.
He drove us to the recruiter, and so yeah, it was kind of funny. But like in the back of my head, I was wondering that. And one of the conversations I remember with my recruiter, Staff Sergeant Camacho, he was like, hey, when you leave here, I was just going in to get some info, man. He was pushing hard to get me. And he was like, when you leave here, he's like, I got a challenge for you. He's like, on your drive home, I want you to count every Marine Corps flag, bumper sticker, and all that, and see how many of that you compare to the Navy, the Air Force, and all that. Tattoos, right? Like every Marine's got tattoos and stuff. And I took the challenge, and I mean, it was just like I just remember counting like Marine Corps.
Focus on expand.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was kind of like my first glimpse of like, man, there's like it's a different mindset, and I know a lot of us know that, but not everybody. I don't think from the other perspectives fully recognize that. I know it's just a little different feeling, but.
Yeah, I remember when I joined the Marine Corps, man, I was part of the delayed entry program, and I signed up when I was 17. So the recruiter came to the house, and we'd gone back and forth. When the time finally came for me to quote unquote join, the recruiter had like, this was back in 1990, man. That's how far we're going back. You know, there was no laptops, there was no PowerPoint or anything like that. It was all this, checking all these movie stars, man, that used to be, Marines. Look at all these sport guys and these commentators on TV, all these guys, doing the sales pitch. And one of the things that I'll never forget was, because we're talking about how the Marine Corps does such a good job with the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, with the branding of it, is that the IBM at the time, the IBM logo, only the Marine Corps, as far as people recognizing it, the Marine Corps logo was beating out the IBM logo.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
everybody knows. You see the commercials and
man, and I grew up with
dragons.
That was my commercial, man. The guy climbing up the mountain.
Yeah, that was that time frame.
Slaying the dragon. Like, fuck yeah,
man.
I mean, it hooked me. you know, but
Yeah.
yeah, so that's that was a good move on the recruiter's part, man. Telling you to
Cool.
go out there. He knew you were going to start focusing on that, man, and finding it. So
Yeah,
that's great.
I mean, he pushed me hard, man.
Yeah.
I would show up, coming home from school or something. He'd be in the house talking to my family and stuff. I'm like, man, what's this guy doing? Came to my job,
Yeah.
would buy like $1 something, but he'd make me walk around.
What kind of work were you doing then?
I worked at Ace Hardware.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I
Ace
worked
is
at
the
a
place.
tire shop doing rims and tires. So it was interesting, but I was always curious about that next step,
Yeah, man.
So
Yeah.
Marine Corps, I wasn't the great, I was a troubled kid in high school. So to me, it was a good avenue. I'm like, man, you guys will pay me to go out and fight. Like, I get kicked out of school, right? And you're
Right.
gonna send me to do this?
And
Like,
give me a gun?
this is
Hell yeah.
perfect.
I'm up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I boxed in high school and things like that. So to me, it was just like that next step of like using that as an opportunity
It felt
almost for like,
natural.
yeah,
A natural
absolutely.
decision
Yeah. Like
for you.
going to
Awesome.
boot camp to me and all the physical stuff. Like I think it was the mental struggle stuff more than the physical. Like I
Yeah.
felt a little bit advanced when it came to physical in comparison to a lot of the other guys,
Okay.
at least in my platoon,
All right. So how was that, man? How did your family take that? I mean, what kind of childhood did you have growing up? Was everyone like, "Oh, TJ's joining the Marines"? Oh yeah, we saw that coming, or was it different? Or
So I didn't really have like my grandpa was in the Air Force, but I didn't hear much about it. Like I didn't grow up around them like that. My dad would mention it here and there. My dad served as a merchant marine
okay,
in the Michigan lakes. So, he has a little bit of stuff. I feel like that was a little bit of structure. I mean, he was pretty tough on me. Like but my mom and father were divorced, so like I kind of got a little bit of life from each of them. I lived
okay,
with my mom for a while, then I moved with my dad. So I think my dad was kind of pushing for it just because I needed structure. And he, me and him butted heads, so he was like, "Hey, maybe
right
somebody else
here.
could do this a
Yeah,
little
all
bit
right,
better."
yeah.
I'm sure
It'll be someone
he's gonna
else's
laugh when he
problem.
listens to this.
Yeah.
Like, man, this hard headed kid. Yeah. And then my mom found out when I called her from boot camp.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that was how she found out. I was like,
And where?
and you remember, that voice, like they give you a
First phone call,
script.
yeah, man.
And I was like, my mom's like, "What are you talking about?" And then I hung up, and the next time we communicated was through letters.
Yeah.
And she was like, and then I remember seeing her when I graduated boot camp, man. She just started crying because I was so skinny
Yeah.
from all the, just that 3 months of just, the grit. So, yeah, it was good though. I think she knew I was in the right direction. Super
Good.
proud of me.
Hell yeah.
Mom passed of cancer when I was like 30 years old. So,
Okay.
but she was always like so proud. She had the bumper stickers and the "My Son's a Marine" and all
Helping
that.
out the
So,
recruiter.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Somebody else was counting those
Right,
on the
right.
back of the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was boot camp for you, man? Did you fare well, or did you
Yeah,
just-
I mean, I think I was, I was a cocky kid, and a scrappy guy and stuff like that. So, I remember one of my drill instructors, man, he caught that, like he recognized that. So I think he pushed me pretty hard. One story I remember, man, is we were in the line for the gas chamber, and he came up, and I don't want to get any trouble. He pulled that little clear thing out of the gas mask.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
filter, or that allows the air to go out. And so I walked in the gas chamber and was like coughing right away, and I'm like looking around like, but once everybody took the mask off, to
You were
me
good
it
to
was
go?
normal.
Yeah.
Everybody else was
Oh, I'm used
dying.
to-
Like, man,
I'm
I've
good to
been
go,
doing
man.
this for like a couple minutes
Yeah.
now. So
While
yeah,
everyone else
it's
was
kind of
crying.
funny looking back at that. But yeah, there was one that really pushed me hard. At night, anything, but I was kind of the guy that, like, if somebody was up on the quarterdeck, man, I'd join them, whether they told me to or not. Like, I just was the guy that would run up. Like, I wanted more from the physical side of
Okay.
it, if anything. Yeah.
Kick ass, man. So after so you graduated, now was it Paris Island?
Yeah, Paris
Okay.
Island. Yeah,
All
we're right here.
Right down the
Right
road,
here. I
man.
golf there
That's
now.
awesome.
It's kind of
That's
funny.
awesome.
Yeah.
So after boot camp, so what MOS did the recruiter give you?
So I was
meant to ask you that.
06. I was
06.
06 contract, which is communications. When we were talking, it was like satellite communication. Things sounded real, sexy at the time. And they didn't pick until like I was, I think, leaving boot camp, headed
Okay.
to like MCT.
So was it
and
one of those 06XX?
yeah, 0600, I
So it
think
was
is
an
what it
open
said.
contract, but it was in communications.
And I got signed as a 0612 field wireman.
Field wireman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know, it was a tough job, man. Like once I hit the fleet, I didn't really know what it was when they told me. You know?
Did you go out to 29 Palms for that school?
Yep.
Okay, because
Sure
I
did.
picked up my original MOS was a 2531, and all the comm stuff back when I was in was all 2500. And I think I learned last night talking to you guys that all the MOS numbers of the Marine Corps changed, man. But I went through 29 Palms, man. I went to Frock School, Field Radio Operators course out at 29 Palms.
You're
so
still
we chewed
out
some
there.
of the same dirt.
I was out there a couple months ago, man. I did a lot of rotations through there for schooling, like staff NCO, Chiefs course, all that. I had to rotate there. I went through cybersecurity course there.
Okay.
So I was back and forth through 29 Palms, and I always try to avoid it. I'm just thankful I never got stationed there. You know, like that's a rough spot. You know, the stomps, man. Once you experience it, though, it kind of stays with you.
It does.
You know?
It does, man. What was was a big bear? What the hell was that mountain with the radar tower on top or the radio? It's like when you're at the grinder.
Yeah,
the grinder
I can't remember that. I know what you're talking. We used to have to climb it.
Yeah, man.
for
It's like that long ass run up the backside.
Oh yeah.
And run down the front of it like tripping down.
Yeah, I mean,
sand and all that.
I remember pulling up to that base every time I come through the gate, and you see that in the background, and you're like, man, I remember coming through here years ago.
Again, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So 29 Palms, you leave there as a field wireman.
Correct.
Okay, and then after that, where they put
Okinawa. Yeah, but at that time, it was only a 1-year tour
in Okinawa.
Yeah, Okinawa.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what year was this?
So I left for Okinawa in like early 03.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you knew you were going somewhere. You went
Correct.
to Okinawa, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Iraq stuff was kicked off. So I was like, they did it by alphabet. They were like, if your name is from A to, this, like you're going to Okinawa, and the rest of the guys got split. Yeah, that's how our class got split up.
Okay.
So there was a big group of our class that went out to Okinawa.
Okay.
So there was probably like 12 or 13 of us.
Now, have you heard of Okinawa before or no?
Not really. No. I mean, that was if you gave me a list, that was the last pick.
Yeah.
You know, like, but it was just like, hey, this is what they gave me. Like, roll with it.
Like, fuck it, I'm going to Japan.
Yeah, this is part of the experience.
Yeah,
you know.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
So, what unit did you end up with first over there in Okinawa?
Oh man, it's thinking back of it. Changed names now.
Is it a ground unit, wing units? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a support unit. CLR. Combat Logistics Regiment is what it was called at the time. I don't know. My mind's going blank with that.
What you think about landing there in Okinawa for the first time, man? You're young, you're out of boot camp, you're out of your MOS school, and you're like, here I am.
You know, I remember getting on the bus, and back then imports were a big thing, right? Honda Civic. Everybody had Honda Civics, and we're hooking up all these Acuras and stuff. And when we got on the bus, leaving the airport after you go through like searching sea bags and everything, we started seeing all the the skyline.
Yeah.
Oh man. And then you saw the skyline, you were like, man, look, there's a skyline. And then all of a sudden you're like, there's another skyline. And it was just became like almost like a normal car after a while. But that was one of the first experience I remember. And then they put you in the barracks, and you have to do like an in-dock for like, I think it was like 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
kind of like
The
telling you
do's
about
and don'ts and
correct.
get your shots and
Yeah.
learn everything.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of like, even a couple Japanese words I think that they taught you. It was kind of like, hey, don't go out here and mess up.
Right.
Like, here's some of the
Well, we've had
cultural
problems. Well, the
stuff.
Marine Corps had some big problems.
Oh,
in
there was
Okinawa,
plenty when
Japan
I was
throughout
out
the
there.
years,
Yeah.
So I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you remember how you were received by your unit, man? Were they open arms or like, who the fuck is this boot? Did they treat you well or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna throw, I won't throw out names, but there was a little bit of an in-dock kind of thing of the platoon, and there was a big staff sergeant that picked me up. We called him Debo, and I mean, just huge. I mean, he was huge. He fit the Debo name, you know what I mean?
Right.
And he picked me up, and I had like 2 or 3 sea bags of stuff, and they give you 2, but you kind of bring what you can. And he was basically like, if you can't fit it in the car, like you're carrying it back, kind of thing. And luckily we were able to stuff it in, but some guys were like trying to bring TVs, and he was just like, leave that there on the curb. And anyways,
and their buddy's coming up 5 minutes behind.
Yeah,
later, man,
I mean,
you can't take that with you, man. Next thing you know, his buddy's coming by. Taking it back to his barracks room.
And then I remember like meeting the platoon, and like, the first ones that greeted you were like, and they called themselves Senior Lance Corporal. Remember the Senior Lance Corporal? You're like, dude, it's not
Right.
as common nowadays, man. You don't hear it like that. But
Right,
back
right.
then it was like, hey, these guys are like the deal, they're the real deal, man. And
Right.
even though we were only E2s when we showed up, it was like Senior Lance Corporal, and I still would talk to some of those guys. Cool, man. Like looking back
Right.
and like, reminiscing about some of those things. But yeah, Senior Lance Corporals took care of us. I'll
Cool.
put it that way,
Alright.
showed us the barracks and all that.
Yeah. So what was you show up there, your new boot, freshly earned Okinawa. How did you get into things, man? I mean, did they throw you right into, hey man, this is your MOS, let's go teach you this, or did they expect you to know everything, or was it more of a mentoring thing or was it more of a you gotta earn it type of thing?
Yeah, I think it was a combination, a lot of that, man. I
Okay.
think they, from the outside, people were like kind of watching. I don't think we really recognized it at the time, but they were kind of watching us from the background and
Okay.
like seeing, like who's the ones really
Who's
taking
who, who's
charge.
what,
Yeah,
who's
yeah,
stepping up.
and you learn, and some of us that wanted to learn faster would stay late or show up early, and try a little harder and stuff like that. So. There was a good buddy of mine. I just went to his retirement. Me and Jamar King, man, we were the 2 that really stood out.
Cool.
I was just a little bit more of the troublemaker than King was, like King was the one that would kind of ground me when I got a little bit out of hand, but good dude. I love that guy,
Yeah.
man. I just want to throw
Hell
his
yeah.
name out there while we're here,
Yeah. So what was your first, I don't know, oh shit thing being in Okinawa? Do you have anything that you can remember, like whether it was good, bad, or like fuck, I'm no longer in the United States? Like what was did you have a moment there that really set like this is it? I'm here. This is what I'm doing. This is what's going on.
Gate 2 Street. I
Okay.
don't know if you heard
Never been.
Gate 2 Street is right outside Kadena Air Base, and
Okay.
anybody that's been to Okinawa knows that. It's where the infamous banana show
Oh,
is, red light district, stuff like that.
okay.
So, the guys kind of get you out there to experience a little
Right.
bit, man, and sometimes it can get a little out of hand. And
Gotta get it out
that's
of your system.
yeah,
Get that
let's
curiosity
get it out early,
behind it.
man.
You gotta
Yeah.
get it out early.
A couple bar fights here and there, man,
Okay.
and then you kind of, they'll put you in your place when you get back. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I was a young kid wanting to experience stuff and party and all that, and I definitely did, like
What was all right, so there you're stationed in Okinawa, rolling through, learning, first deployment, leaving Okinawa.
yeah. So when we were in Okinawa, with it only being a year, it was like pretty short. I mean,
Okay.
it was pretty short time frame to like really hit. So they had rotations like Australia, Philippines, Thailand. I was lucky to catch the first Australia one.
Okay.
So that was like my only out of country experience from Japan. But Australia was a blast. Like Australia was a lot of fun. We worked hard, but when we got off, we play hard too,
Good.
and it was
As a Marine?
yeah, it was I mean, there's some stories behind that too, but at the end of the day, man, just being able to travel and get that experience and see Australia, you hear about it, you see the kangaroos, just the little
Oh,
things
yeah.
that you grow up as a kid, maybe seeing on cartoons or just movies, like Crocodile Dundee.
Yep.
That was over there you see Aborigines and like, I mean, you see the whole
See it.
thing, like you're experiencing.
The country.
Yeah, so that was my first trip to. I've been to Australia about 4 times.
Okay.
That was my first experience there, but I was young. Sometimes I didn't appreciate seeing some. I was more focused on like going out to the bars and
Yeah.
and the ladies and stuff.
You know,
like, really.
I've shared that same sentiment, man, on other podcast episodes where I wish I was more mature in my younger years. And you go to badass places. I was at the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. I was in Africa. I was in South America. Man, all these places now, and I really wasn't able. I don't know if it was a maturity thing where I wasn't able to comprehend what a wonderful opportunity the Marine Corps afforded me to check out some of these places. I think knowing, and we always would do things differently, right? As you grow in age and mature and all that. Looking back, I think that's one of my biggest regrets that I don't think I had the maturity to like truly take it in and
Yeah.
truly appreciate the experience that was happening. Cause you're like, ooh, beach, bar, let's go.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, wait a minute, man. Don't you know this thing's here?
Yeah,
like we
absolutely.
should be checking this out because you're never coming back. You
Correct.
may never come back, and if you do, it's going to cost you $6,000 in airplane tickets and hotel. So so I get that, man. I think that's an easy thing to understand and to appreciate when I hear guys say that. Oh man, I wish I took better advantage of it.
Yeah.
So
That's why I appreciated the opportunities. But like the other 3 times I went to Australia, I was in a place where I felt like I mean, I went there, not too long at the end of my career as a first sergeant,
Okay.
and they were like, "Hey, we need a senior enlisted guy to go out and to see." I talked to CO. I'm like, "Hey, sir, if you're going, I'm going.
I'm your guy.
Yeah, if the Marines are going, like I'm going with you." They're
Yeah.
like, "Well, we don't know if we
I got
really
the
have a
experience
spot."
there. I know.
Yeah, they were like, let's see if we can create a spot for that. I'm like, "Sir, at the end of the day, if the Marines go, you and I are going out there."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if it's even just spending a couple weeks out there and in the tents or whatever it is, like we're going out there to
Cool.
be with the Marines.
Yeah.
That was my last opportunity, and I got to experience a lot of the stuff
Okay.
that I didn't before. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that, I kind of recognize that
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
time.
So, Okinawa, when you're there, was it everything you thought?
Yeah, I mean, again, I wish there was some other I did go back, and that was the opportunity when I went back the second time. I did 2 years the second opportunity. So I had a car, I was a sergeant. That's when I felt like I really got the full experience. Deep sea fishing, scuba diving, like, I got to experience Okinawa with the
Well,
monuments,
the running
all that.
joke I remember, I'm not sure if it's still today, that when people get stationed in Okinawa, 3 things happen. You become a PT freak, you become a Jesus freak, or you become an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So, where'd you fall into all that?
I was a combination of
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely probably the second two,
Okay.
the alcoholic, but I'd still get up in PT a little hungover. But yeah, I mean, it was a good spot, and I would tell you, like, there's a joke in the fleet, and you know that, where to me, it's a real thing. If you're the first duty station Marines in Okinawa are the best Marines out there because you don't have the thing. Nobody has cars, none of that. So the tightness of the unit, and especially at that lower level, like everybody's in the barracks. You don't have family, you don't have girl, like everybody there's a barbecue every weekend. We're hanging out. That was the tightest probably group of
Yeah,
Marines
the brotherhood.
that I've hung out with, and it was because it took out all the other stuff.
Yeah, all the distractions.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys your own distractions, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you do that 1 year, and then what? You pump back to the States?
I went to Cherry Point. I'm Squadron 28.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I went with the wing. That was my first wing. Like, this is different, man.
Yeah.
Like this is a different breed of
Cherry Point is a badass place to be stationed at.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't stay much around like that Havelock area, but I went, ECU.
Hell yeah.
ECU was a good college to party at.
Yeah. I mean, everything from New Bern down to Morehead City, up
Myrtle
the coast,
Beach wasn't far. We used to ride
Yeah,
motorcycles
man.
down there and stuff.
I will never. I mean, everything that I've experienced in the Marine Corps, I will forever say that Cherry Point was my absolute best experience, man. There's so many distractions there, man.
Yeah.
You want to go party in New Bern, got all the colleges, got all the different boroughs out there that you can go to, Jonesboro, Greensboro, whatever boroughs, city colleges, whatever. And then you got the awesome Atlantic Beach area, man. You just go down there, man, and go down to Morehead City and Atlantic Beach, man, or, you're hours away from Myrtle and then, Wilmington and all that. It's just a kick-ass place to be stationed at, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to ride bikes. I don't know if you remember 9 Mile, that kind of road between Cherry Point and Lejeune.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Man. I mean, that was a roller coaster ride down that one.
Yep.
Yeah. So
In fact, wasn't there I might be dating myself, or I could be wrong. Isn't 9 Mile the one that had that gas station like all by itself that had that awesome barbecue in it?
I think that's I mean, I don't know. Was
I
it
might be
9
dating
Mile or
myself.
11 Mile? There was something like
I
like
remember,
that,
but I
yeah.
remember there was like an Exxon or maybe some local hick gas station, man, barbecue inside that place, man, getting a pulled sandwich over there at Carolina sauce and coleslaw on it, man. You're like, if we're going back and forth between Jacksonville, we're getting food there, coming and going, man.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I ate there's stopped a couple times.
Yeah. So the comm squadron there, good times.
Yeah, I mean, that was I wasn't there long, and we were on rotations. You had Alpha and Bravo company, and I got assigned to Bravo. Alpha was out in Iraq, and we were just on a rotation. So I was basically we were building up with all the new guys to pretty much take over for the next rotation. So I was I would say I was there maybe 6 months, and then we were pumping out to Iraq. That was my first experience in Iraq.
So when you were getting ready to work up to go to your first Iraq deployment, did you have other Marines in your squadron that had already been in Afghanistan or Iraq?
Yeah, they were coming back. Some of those guys came back from Advon from the previous deployment.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
so they were coming back, kind of hearing the stories. I was a lance corporal, but pretty close. I knew I was picking.
You were one of those senior lance corporals.
I was. Yeah, I actually was. Yeah, I became that guy. And but I was tracking the cutting scores.
Okay.
The promotion scores, and I was like, man, I'm close, man. I think I think I was doing my own math. I didn't rate a score, but I knew just based off of my score, PT scores and all that, that I was gonna be over, unless something crazy happened. And the first time I rated a score, I got selected.
Oh,
Yeah, so I think I was a corporal at like my 2-year mark or
oh,
something. Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, it was pretty quick, I think, in comparison to I got meritorious Lance Corporal, and
Okay.
that's why it kind of speed
Okay.
tracked me a little bit. Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
So, you guys, was it a slow no that you guys were going to Iraq, or was it like, hey man, this is happening?
Oh, we
So you guys definitely knew.
we already knew
Okay.
dates. Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
mean,
did.
yeah, because
Okay.
we were on like a 6-month rotation with like a 2 to 3 week changeover.
Okay.
So like they were coming back, Advon, like pretty much preparing, and then I got joined with that unit just because of the cycle. And
Okay.
then they were like, "You're new here." All the new guys were going to that unit specifically because prepare for the next deployment.
Okay.
So it was just based like literally cycling rotation.
So the last day or two leading, I mean, where was your family at this time, man? Did you have a girlfriend, wife at the time, anything at all?
No,
I mean,
I lost my high school girlfriend uh and when I was in Okinawa, the
oh,
distance thing, which is, worked out pretty well. But anyways, I didn't have, wife, kids. I was
all right.
single, just enjoying life.
Was it a natural end to the relationship, or did Jody show up?
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Oh shit.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, it's all good,
All
man.
right.
Like, yeah, what's funny? Like my buddies were telling me, and I was
Vance,
like,
Vance,
no.
who's here
Yeah.
helping us out, shoot the podcast today. We'll have to tell him who Jody is,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we can bring him in on that.
Yeah, yeah, he's still out there. He's
Yeah,
all right
that
though. I
fucker,
mean,
that
they're
fucker.
doing okay. You
All
know
right.
what I mean? Like, good on them. Family though, like
Yeah.
I still keep in touch with their family on
Okay.
Facebook and stuff like that. So no
All right.
no hard feelings.
So what was it like leading up, like the last day or two, man? Did you have any butterflies in your stomach, or were you happily anticipating it all, or
Yeah, I
what?
mean, I was eager, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I joined for that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, I mean, from the very get go, like I was upset they sent me to Okinawa
Okay.
because I knew they were already telling us like if you go to Okinawa, you're not deploying like that. You know what I
Okay.
mean? You're covering the other stuff. So I was just like I was waiting, like I wanted my turn, like I was ready,
Well, you got
but
it.
I was also anxious. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, and but that's just the type of there was a joke. I mean, I got a plaque that my buddy made, Boinatello, he just retired Chief Warrant Officer 4. Um, on my plaque when I was when, like one of the going away plaques, it says on there that, basically calling myself a field marine. Like that was always the joke. Like,
Right.
man, take me away from the uniform inspectors. Like, put me in the field when that time
Yeah.
comes, because that's where I thrive.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So
So you guys, now, how'd you make it to Iraq? First
um
one.
I mean into Kuwait.
Did you guys fly over? Did you take ships
Yeah,
or what?
we
Okay,
flew,
good.
yeah, I mean,
All right.
one of those charter planes,
Okay.
all the whole unit was
Yeah,
pretty much
yeah.
on a charter plane, flew
Okay.
in. I think we had to stop for fuel and stuff, and then, landed in Kuwait. That was my first experience of, like, seeing the desert,
Okay.
like, the heat and all
Yeah.
that, like, everything. Like, Kuwait's rough. And I'm sure we'll get there, but full circle back, like, that's where I served on MSG duty at
Oh,
the
cool.
embassy,
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, that was like a eye-opening experience when you land and feel that heat. Like, as
Yeah.
soon as you come off the airplane, you're like, "Whoa,
A little
dude,
bit
like, this
different than
is."
29 palms.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So you guys land there, and you're with. Now, did you get into like a reinforced squadron at all, or like what did that look when you guys landed Kuwait and you made your way up to Iraq? Where in Iraq did you end up?
We were in, I should be knowing this off the top of my head, but the air base there, Al Assad,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, we were in Al Assad. Again, we were with the wing, so we got
Okay.
put in Al Assad. Pretty much spent our whole time on there. So we experienced the mortars and things like that, and some guys coming up to the gate and stuff. But no like direct
No direct
conflict at that
contact.
time. Yeah.
Okay.
But
What was?
those mortars are scary, man.
Fuck
Like
yeah, they will.
it's a different fight when you can't fight at all, dude. They're
Yeah.
just banging around you. Like I remember running cables in the middle of the thing, and they were just dropping all around us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't shoot back.
Yeah, yeah,
Get-
it's sad when you
You
can't,
get angry.
but when
Can't
you
shoot
hear it
back.
go over your head
Like,
and
I'm good.
it's, like, from the direction and everything, man, like, you learn that, like, oh, once it goes over, dude, you're
Like, I'm
good.
good.
Yeah, yeah, literally, man, literally.
What was your day to day like there in Iraq? Getting
Man,
mortared.
dude, I spent a lot of time in the gym,
Yeah.
like, I remember when we got there, man, the unit that we took over for, they were doing the boxing, and, I told you I was a boxer, so I remember, like, going down to they had, like, a little MWR, they had, like, flat night and stuff, whatever. It was, it was a little weird, like, seeing some of that stuff, like, man, they're trying to make it fun, but, like,
Right.
we're in this environment. Anyways, they had a boxing ring, and, so, like, they had fight night, and I think it
Smoker
was, like,
nights, yeah.
Friday. Yeah, everybody would come to the fight, it was like a legit boxing ring, and, I think we were only there, like, 3 weeks, and finally they kinda let us loose a little bit to go around and check out the base or whatever, and, I jumped in the ring, man, fought an army guy, roughed him. He was just swinging, man, first round, so I let him. It looked from the outside like I was losing, but after that, I let him tire himself
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Took a couple shots, but second round, I just put him down.
Smoking?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it, man. It was good, yeah. But I remember my chief warrant officer was there. He, like, came up like, he was my ringside guy by the time, like, the, like, second round, and, like, he's standing on the corner where I didn't even have anybody, and he's there, like, chief warrant officer Savoy was his name, and he's like, "Hey, he's like, "I'm gonna give you the day off tomorrow." And right? Like, I'm like, "I got the day off?" And I remember waking up the next morning, I, like, got the day off. I went to the gym, I worked out, and then I'm like, "Well, there ain't nothing to do here in Iraq, man. Like, what are we doing?" Like, so
Right.
I went to work, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna go to work. Like, I'm not gonna sit here all day in the dang cans,
Right.
we were in tents for the first, like, month or 2, I think,
Okay.
but yeah.
Alright. So you did some boxing, you did a lot of PT, man. What about just your daily MOS life? I mean, were you actually doing it or
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I over that time, I learned the systems, I mean,
okay.
like the little cans and stuff. So I lucked out. They were like, "Hey, they had one of the telephone systems thing, and it was like a whole van on the back of a 7-ton. They had one on the other side base,
Okay.
and they would put a Marine there for a whole month, like, by himself. So I was like, "Man, let me do it," I got out there and we controlled morale calls. So I'd just hang out there on the phone and hang out. I had my MREs and, every now and then somebody would stop by and check up on me and stuff, but, I mean, it felt like there was, like, days that would go by and, like, I just wouldn't see anybody.
Yeah.
We had a couple little dogs running around,
Yeah.
I'd throw them some MRE treats and stuff. They were like our little pets or
Okay.
whatever, but yeah, that was
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Were you did Iraq leave you wanting anything, or do you think they got enough of it?
No, I actually at the end of our thing, they were asking for, volunteers to extend.
Okay.
And I was like, "Man, pick me,
Yeah.
dude. I'm saving money. I'm bulking up,"
Alright.
like, that was like I felt at home. Like, I don't wanna say I felt at home, but, like, it just felt like, it was what
Comfortable?
I asked for,
Like
and
you
here I
like
was,
you feel
like
comfortable in that environment?
yeah,
Yeah.
like, I was thriving off of it,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like, I wanted it, like, that rush and all that kinda stuff, and, like, I just I was learning radios and everything because that was the guys going outside the wire. You know that, you know what I mean? Like, I was like I mean, I would go to the radio tent, and the gunny would be like, "What? Hey, we don't want you. You're not part of our platoon." Once, Gunny Jackson, man, good dude. He was like I was like, "Gunny, I'm just trying to learn, man. Like, I wanna learn something." And he's like, "If you're here to learn and you ain't fucking off, like,
Alright.
cool," so I would sit there and learn the radios and stuff
Okay.
like that, yeah.
Alright. So how long did you do in Iraq in that deployment?
How long?
Yeah.
I was like I think we did 6 months and then, like a 2 to 3 week turnover.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Alright.
like 6.5 months, something like
Okay.
that, yeah.
Alright. So you leave Iraq. Anything negative, anything bad happened there you wanna share, or was it pretty much even keeled for you?
Yeah, I mean, there was, like, at that time, I was young and not really recognizing as much, but, like, the mortars and
Mhm.
stuff, man, like that, one of the things, man, when we changed it, we were getting mortared almost every day.
Yeah.
And it became natural, I mean, I remember the first experience, man, like, all of us were, like, jumping on the ground and, we heard the blast, like, and it was, probably eighth of a mile away or something like that, and, everybody's like, "Well, what the hell was that?" And then by the end of it, man, it was, like, natural, like, you
Yeah.
wouldn't even, like, flinch when it came by, and, one I told a couple people this before, but when we were changing over, we had a couple guys that we were showing the ropes, and we were out in the field and running, like changing out some cables and stuff like that. And we got hit with a couple mortars. There was a couple of us. There was like 2 or 3 of my guys, and I was like one of the more senior, guys running the show. And then we had like one of the lance corporals and one other guy, and we were kind of split up. But the lance corporal was with me, and he was only there like 2 weeks, and this was his first mortar attack. And I wish I remembered his name. And it was just like didn't think about it at the time, but, when the mortars were hitting around us, like, we had 2, like, really close calls, and, again, none of us, like, really flinched, and the Marine dove on the ground and dirt, man, and he was, like, freaking out, and I remember just, like, snatching him up by the back of
The short
the
hairs.
the b the vest, the bulletproof vest, Zappies and all that, and, I just remember, like, snatching him up off the ground, and I was working out, and stuff, and I snatched him up, man, put him on his feet, and I just lit him up, I was like, "Get used to this, da 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 da." I'm like, "This is how it's gonna be," like, um and, like, all the other guys were like, "Yo, you gotta chill out." Like, that was my first, like, thing looking back, like, as a regret, like, "Damn, I should like, that I experienced that shit, nobody did that to me." So looking back, that was one of the things that I wish, like, I could at least know who that was and, like, apologize or something and be like, "Hey, man, I'm sorry." Like, I wasn't in the right mind at the time, like, I just got so numb to that, like, it was nothing to us, you know what
Yeah,
I mean? And that's scary.
yeah,
Scary to think about
it
that,
is.
but you think about all the other guys that are in firefights and stuff, like, mortars are just unexpected, dude, and especially that first
Yeah.
one, and then the rest of it is just kinda like, "Oh,
Yeah,
let's ride it out."
they're, deliberately leaving the tube. They are deliberately hitting,
Yeah,
right? So it's a numbers game
correct,
sometimes,
yeah,
and
and those
so
guys would have that highway next to the Euphrates, and they were just so quick to fire off 5, 6 rounds was
yeah,
normal, and
and
then
keep
they'd
going.
be gone,
Yeah,
back of a truck or whatever, they might find a tube, but that was it. They wouldn't catch anybody
right.
usually.
So 6 months, a couple weeks, and then you head back to the States. How
Yeah.
was that homecoming, man?
It was good. I didn't have anybody there,
Okay.
man, like, and I don't know if that was, like, me
Was it a
not
sense of relief coming back? I mean,
I
were you
no,
were you
I tried to
like,
extend,
you
but they
tried
didn't.
staying, right?
Yeah, they didn't want me to, like, the
When
chief
you get
wouldn't want me
home,
to.
alright, so you volunteered to stay.
Yeah,
They said no, you come back. Were you after you got feet dry, you were back in Carolina.
correct.
Did you feel a sense of relief that you didn't extend?
Not really,
No?
man, like,
Okay.
I was still kinda like I was more upset, and the reason why I found we talked through it, man, the reason why is because they were already expected to go back on the next rotation, and they wanted me to be one of the leaders of that rotation. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, I was
Yeah.
getting promoted to sergeant and all that, um, so they were like, "No, you're gonna get your chance again?" But I was coming up on EAS. That's what my thought process
Okay.
was, like, "Let's make some money." I'm out here already. Why go back and even waste that? Like, I wanna let me save up, and then when I go back, we're really gonna enjoy it going
Yeah,
home, you
yeah.
know? So it didn't work out like that, and it's fine, like, no big deal. At the time, I was salty about it, but I recognize, those are things that I was selfish about
Mm,
at that time, and now I recognize, like, man, they had a purpose for me, I just didn't understand the purpose, and maybe they explained it to me, and I just didn't fully understand it
okay.
either, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, what was now you left Cherry Point, you're deployed to Iraq, you come back. Were you guys immediately into another 6-month rotation where you'd be going back again in 6 months?
Correct, yeah.
Now, was because you were boot that first one, right? Now you got experience. Now you're getting ready for another workup. Did that second workup for you feel different than that first one because of your experience?
So, like, that was where the conversation
Because now
came
you're
in.
coming back with the stories. Now you're coming back with
Correct.
experience.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm thinking you probably had, and now you're an NCO, right?
Mhm.
So you're no longer that senior lance corporal. You're like corporal, right?
Correct.
Um, did you feel a sense of leadership where you had to get people squared away and you looked at maybe some things that didn't happen before your workup that you felt you could do now on this workup to maybe better prepare the Marines than what you were prepared for? Did anything like that happen?
Yeah, yeah, I was really, like, pushing the guys, like, to understand that, and that's
Okay.
where the stories, like, sharing stories and getting
Yeah.
them to understand a lot of that, because they were hungry too, you know what I mean? They wanted the same thing, and I remember it was almost like Groundhog's Day because I remember, like, sitting with those guys in the barracks that just got back and drinking with them and just hearing their stories, and I'm like, "Man, this is what's coming?" Like, "Okay." And then once I experienced, it was the same thing where the young guys were coming to us, like, just wanting to listen, wanting to
Right.
hear what's going on and kinda mentally almost prepare a little bit, but it's hard to prepare people for that, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, like, the mindset of it.
Yeah. Did
Yeah,
you feel like one thing I like asking these guys, man, is did you feel like you saw yourself in these new guys before you deployed?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, almost like signs, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there were specific things that you would be like, "Oh, man," and then you could pick out the ones that you could tell, like, weren't as prepared, like, and maybe it was, like, family
Mm.
issues or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
married people, young kids, and I didn't. I was in the barracks. Most of us guys were in the barracks and stuff, and the ones that did, and sometimes you were kind of looking at it different. That
Yeah.
was another mindset thing too. That it's like, hey, dude, like, no one issued you a wife and kid. Like, it's
Yeah.
one of those things. Like, we joke about it, but like realistically, like, there was a lot of stuff that I think some of us didn't recognize that other people were going through,
Mm.
and then when I came back, because of all the issues that people have with their family, I mean, people,
Yeah.
you know what it is, like, they go through divorce and find out, family, husband, wife's cheating on, whatever it is,
Yeah.
like, those are the things that you see people experience and go through out there. So when you come back, then you start to recognize, like, hey, maybe these people we need to prepare them and the family and
Right.
everything a
Yeah.
little bit ahead of
Yeah,
time.
that's
Cause
been one of my gripes, man, talking with people on the podcast and getting involved with a lot of these veteran organizations, man, is that I don't know, and I hope to God today in 2026 that the Marine Corps and, maybe the DOD, Department of War now, whatever, is just doing a better job in making sure that, yeah, they passed the workup. Yeah, they made it through everything, but should this guy really be deployed? Like, I just hope that there's a checklist that people are going through, a meaningful checklist, finances, relationship, spiritually, and all that. I mean, at the end of the day, you're a fucking Marine, you're going to go, right? But we got to make sure because I've heard some stories, man, from other guests where people had no business at all whatsoever being in theater and they end up getting killed.
yeah.
And it's not because they didn't want to. It's just that with all these other problems they got going on, man, that their headspace is all fucked up. And if you got a fucked up headspace out there, man, bad things are bound to happen. So I just hope that we're doing a better job now than we were back then, man, and making sure that people are not only physically deployable, but that they're mentally good enough too.
Yeah, I would tell you, like, as a first sergeant, that's when I really
Mhm.
dug deep, and then, like, I mean, you're dealing with a lot of the problems, and you see it more than,
Right.
so that was the type of stuff that I feel like I would try to get ahead of,
Okay.
and maybe even say, "Hey, man, this guy probably isn't ready to go because of these issues," or whatever, guy,
Yeah.
girl, whatever, it's like, so I think there's better training about that now than there was back then. And I know we joke about it, but, like, back then, man, like, it was like I remember almost like if you went to medical, man, like, you might as well pull yourself off deployment
Oh
because
yeah. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like, "Dude, don't go to sick hall because if someone goes in your record or they find out something." So, like, even when you had just like, "Hey, man, I got a cough or whatever," like, I'm going to the PX and buying it even
Yeah.
though it was free because if I go to medical, a gunny finds out, man,
Oh,
I
yeah.
might get pulled off the
Yep.
list.
Yep, yep,
So
yep.
those I think some of that mindset is definitely changing.
Good.
And again, I got some stories of that where, like, I went down that old school mentality, and then I was like, maybe this isn't the right decision." And I'm
Okay.
glad that I changed that because it,
Good.
really changed it literally changed people's lives
Yeah.
because of that.
Fuck
So,
yeah.
like, those are things that I'm glad that I kinda took a little bit more attention to than just being like, "No, you're freaking going, like,
Right.
I don't care what your issues are?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so you got in that 6-month out, 6-month back rotation. That second deployment, where'd you guys end up going? Did you
So
go back to Iraq or?
that's where, I was
Oh, no, you had
helping
an
everybody
EAS
work.
coming, right? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So they were pushing me to reenlist. They were throwing out, hey, black belt. Back then, it was like if you were a martial arts instructor, you were a big deal, you know what I mean? So they were like, "We're gonna send you to martial arts course and this and that, be instructor." And I was all for it, but they were like, "You gotta reenlist." And I was like, "Hey, I don't wanna reenlist, but I'll extend. Like, you want me to extend a year to hit enough time to do it and deploy, and then when I come back, give me enough time to process out?" And they were like, "Take it or leave it." And I was like, I already planned this." And going back, man, I regret that. Obviously, I got back in, but, I never, like, really, like, fully, like, "That was stupid," or it was like, "Hey, that's where my life was at
Yeah.
that time." And again, being a little salty for that not letting me extend because I had enough time to stay out there for one more rotation, still come back and out process. So for them to just pull me back and, like, do workups, but I put my heart into it, man, because of the Marines,
Mhm.
I was like, "I wanna make sure these
Yeah,
Marines
man.
are prepared to roll out." So I did up until the very end, man. I
Okay.
worked until the last day.
So, you walked out, man.
Yeah.
Time ended, you EAS, you got out of the Marine Corps. Where'd you go?
So, big dreams that my father threw out there with the construction company and taking over. It's been in the family for years, and, that was kind of what it was, and I think I felt structured at that point, when I left, I didn't feel I felt like I checked my box with the deployment. on what my goals were, what the reason I joined the Marine Corps and served the country for 9/11 and all that. Um, so, I was out a year and 8 months, and I think it was about, like, a year and 4 months, and I got a letter in the mail from, stamped from the Commandant of the Marine Corps, and it was like, "You're a 1 Alpha, and da, 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 we'll give you 20 grand to get back in." And if you remember, that was, I came back in '08, so the '07, '08 housing
Oh,
crisis,
yeah.
right? Like, financially with construction, like, I wasn't doing well, and, there were some stories, where, like, guys would I would wear, like, the old green unit shirts, man, because I was painting, and I'm like, "I can get paint on this, I don't need it anymore." And guys would be like, "Hey, you were in the Marines?" I'm like, "Yeah," and then they would wanna hear the stories, and they were like, "Why'd you get out?" I'm like, "Shit, now I don't really know," you know? Yeah, it was, like, a year and 8 months, and then I jumped back in, the biggest
There's something to be said, like, I hear things differently listening, right? Like, hanging on to the words and listening. So at a you're at a job site and you're working, right? And you're telling these stories. And I just had this quick flash, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, man, or I might be overthinking or trying to romanticize it too much for the podcast. But it's like someone's asking you questions and you're telling these stories. And they're like, "Well, fuck, man, why'd you get out of the Marine Corps?" And you're like, "Man, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know."
literally, yeah.
So you had that happen a few times? And you're
Quite
like,
a
"Fuck it, I'm going back in?"
I mean, I think it
Or
was the letter that solidified it. It
ah,
was that,
it was
dude,
that
I was a field
it
wireman,
was
they weren't
it
giving
was that version
bonuses,
of go look for
you
the
know what I
bumper
mean?
stickers, go
Yeah.
looking for the license
Chris,
plate,
they
right?
weren't
Like it
giving
moved on.
bonuses for field wiremen. Even if I re-enlisted,
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't have got a bonus,
Right.
So, like, when they threw 20 grand out there, I was like, "Man, I could get myself pay off the bills that I do have and start fresh and all that." So, yeah, it was just but I did miss it. Like, I there
Yeah.
was, like, something in my heart, you know
Yep.
what I mean, that I was like, "Man, I could be doing other stuff," you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
And if it was like, "Man, send me back," or whatever it is, like, I'm ready for it. And then guess what? I got orders to Okinawa.
Ah.
The exact same unit, man, the exact same unit, but it was 2 years this time. But that's what I was saying, like,
Okay.
when I came back in, I enjoyed those 2 years a little bit different.
So, was it cool showing back up in Okinawa this time? I mean, you gotta you're now, what'd you come back in as? Did you come back in as corporal or sergeant?
A sergeant, so I kept my rank, but they
Okay.
started my data rank over from the day I got back in.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
so I lost time and grade,
Okay.
right? So that kinda hurt me long term with the
Did you
promotion
think about the
aspect of it.
reserves at all, or no?
No,
Okay.
no, I
Alright.
wasn't doing
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
against love you guys, but, like, the part-timers, man, it wasn't for me,
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to do my own thing and be like, "Hey, you're gonna go to the field this day on
Mhm.
the weekend," or whatever. I was
Right,
like,
right.
"No, if I'm out, I'm out."
Yeah.
Oh,
I get it,
man.
I get it. So, was it cool going back?
It
Okinawa?
was, like, there was a lot of, like, in my head, like, "Man, was this right?" or whatever, and, I checked into my unit, man, and, the first sergeant wasn't there, and he was like the clerk called him, Lance Corporal clerk called him, and she was like, "Hey, first sergeant, the new sergeant's here to check in." He was like, "Stand by, have him stand by. Might be a little while." Man, and this is a true thing, man. Matt, you call
Okay,
Master
wow.
Guns Bowen, and he'll vouch for this. There was a Master Guns that started a little on the right side, man. He had a brief going on for the upcoming operation, and all the staff NCOs. Now they had told me when they picked me up, I was the senior person in the platoon. We didn't have a fucking we didn't have a staff NCOIC. I was the most senior person, and we had a boot lieutenant, and I was like, shoot, man, this is like they're throwing me right back in, like I was hoping to gradually go back in, but I'm glad. So literally, like all these staff NCOs and stuff, staff sergeants and stuff, they walk over to this brief table, and I was in the alphas. And I was like, man, I could sit here and wait for first sergeant. I can go over here and learn something.
Went over there
So
and you learned
I
something,
picked up
right?
my stuff, I walked over, and Master Guns Bowens was in front with his little pointer thing, and he was like, "What the hell you doing here, devil dog?" I sat down at the table with my alphas on, and he, like, calls me out, and all of a sudden, this guy peeks down from the end of the table. Was Gunny Jackson was the guy that the radio chief in Iraq that I was learning from. He peeks down the table. He's like, "Johnson, what the hell you doing back here in the Marine Corps?" I was like, "Oh man, I got back in, da, da." We just connect one on one. He's like, "Oh, I'm a mass sergeant." I called him Gunny. He's like, "Oh, sergeant." I was like, "Damn." Yeah,
Self-master.
literally though. We're just like zoned in, man. He's like, he asked me, "You still got that dog that eats oranges?" Because I told him a story,
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, man, he's still alive." And all of a sudden, Master Guns is like, "Top, you know him?" And he was like, "Yeah." He goes, "You know all the issues in Wire Platoon? You don't have to worry about that no more." And he was like, "All right, good
Cool.
to go." So he's like, "Hey, we're about to deploy, or we're going to the Philippines." He's like, You're the senior dude in the platoon, whatever. And not 30 minutes later, the first sergeant walks in and he's like, I hear him in the background, like, where's that Marine at? She's like, he's over there. He comes over and like, what the F you do? The gun stopped and was like, wait on him.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I didn't. Yeah, I was like, first day,
A
man.
little bit of kinetic.
But you know what? That Master Guns, man, he either liked you or he didn't. And after that moment, he loved me. You know, like we built our own. I was his go-to for the field.
His Master Sergeant vouched for you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that relationship that we had from years ago.
It's always say, man, you got to be nice to people.
Yeah.
Small world,
Yeah.
smaller Marine
I'll tell you,
Corps,
that first sergeant did not
Yeah.
like me from that day on. But
Well,
that's
Master
like,
Guns did, man. It's all good.
that's all that mattered, honestly.
People come, people go.
Yeah.
So 2 years there, man. You guys pumped out the Philippines. You had some other deployments here and there.
Philippines and Thailand. Yeah, those were the two. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think for people who understand, I think a lot has just been said.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay.
Those stories stay hidden. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right.
It was a good time though. Good experience though.
Yeah.
Culturally, all that. You know?
Now, did you? You're a little bit more mature now, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
did you check out some of those kick-ass places, or did you still have the same mindset of wanting to go find a bar or something and chill out, or did you suck up the experience a little bit better?
Yeah, it was a combination. You know,
Okay.
it was definitely like, hey man, like enjoy this a little bit more. Like I definitely had like a reset mindset when I came back. I was like, I knew I was gonna do 20 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I kind of had a whole refocus on.
So you had that thought going back in.
Yes.
You're like, well, if I'm going back in, fuck it, I'm
That's
gonna do my
it.
20.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna get to retirement and then like enjoy life. Yeah.
Okay. So for those now, did you get selected for staff sergeant yet or no?
No, I was still a sergeant.
Okay.
Yeah, I
so-
stayed a sergeant for.
time served right now. You're at what, 5? You're at what, about 7 years now?
I think it was only like. Well, I mean, I had just gotten back in, so I was starting my 5th year.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So was did you ever heal things with that first sergeant or no?
No, man,
No.
we clashed. Like the
Yeah.
whole time we were there, we clashed. I actually ran into him in the fleet at another unit. He was a sergeant major, man. I just was like, I was a gunny when I ran into him, and I was just like, he was like trying to like, hey, devil dog, and I was like, man, hey, this ain't, yeah, this ain't the one, man. Like, don't play that game
Hell
with
yeah.
me now, dude. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I just knew like we weren't, there's people like that.
It
That's
happens.
fine. Yeah,
It happens.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I felt the same way with a couple staff NCOs when I was a first sergeant.
Right.
Like, some people just don't click and some do. So
That's fair.
yeah, we didn't click. I'll tell you that.
Okay. So what? So you did the 2 years there. You traveled around Philippines, Thailand. What happened next?
I mean, after that, like, so I actually submitted a MARSOC package.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but at that time, MARSOC was pretty new.
So you were still buff, huh? You were still keeping.
Yeah,
at
I
it?
mean,
You
I was
still
ready.
after it?
Like, I mean, I was like, if I'm gonna do something, I want to do something. I was single. I'm like, let's do
Okay.
this, like let's get involved. But at that time, MARSOC was so new, and they were really looking for the gunslingers that had already deployed, but junior guys. You know what I mean? Like they were really like pulling like the Lance
Door
corporals and stuff.
kickers.
Yeah,
Okay.
that had already had a pump or two. They weren't because and I understand. I was salty about it, but
I'll have to
kinda-
put something up for the people and give them a quick description about MARSOC.
All
But
right.
yeah, just
So,
so people
yeah.
know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it was new. I think 2006, so it was only a couple years old, and so they were just like, "Hey, man, you're just a little too senior. Like, I can't put a sergeant that doesn't really have
Oh yeah.
that."
Yeah,
And it makes sense. It did. Like,
Yeah.
I was salty. I even
'Cause
like,
you're gonna have corporals, you're gonna have lance corporals, MARSOC guys, a ton more experience in MARSOC
Yeah.
than you do when you're showing up as a quote unquote boot private to MARSOC. That would be a tough leadership.
correct.
That would be.
And then you had a lot of recon guys that were switching over when
Yeah.
it came out because that was the upcoming thing or whatever. So that didn't work out, and it was because of that reason. And then they were like, "Well, what do you think about being they called it a SOC-C, which was like a support unit,
Okay.
basically like a support personnel for that as a
For MARSOC.
communicator."
Okay.
Correct.
Cool.
So I talked with the Master Guns that I had an awesome relationship with, and he connected me with Master Guns White was his name, and I remember when he sent me down there, and I walked in his office, and he had the gold jump wings, and I was like, okay, like what's this about? And so I started talking to him, and he told me about a unit called JCSE. Joint Communication Support Elements out of
Okay.
McDeal. And so like he contacted the monitor. I mean, there were some emails going back and forth. And the monitor basically like send me an email that says like your DTR, all your fit reps and your PT scores and all the stuff that has that info on it. And he was like, right in the email that you're willing to go to like jump school and see a couple schools, right, SEER school and stuff like that. So I fired the email off, man, as quick as I could. I'm just like waiting, and I think like the next like day or two, that's when we left to the Philippines.
Okay.
So Master Guns actually called me when I was out in the Philippines and was like, "Hey man, you need to check MOL. You got orders." And I was like, "What?" So I got orders.
What's MOL? That's something I haven't heard of.
Marine Online.
Okay.
That was where all your records were held.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything went digital. So yeah, that's where it shows all your information anyway. So yeah. So you logged in there and that's how you saw your new orders.
So how was that, man? Was that a cool feeling?
Dude, it was through. I didn't know much about the unit just based on what he kind of told me, and I did some research online. I remember Googling the website and showed people jumping out of parachutes and stuff like that, or parachuting and stuff.
Trying to find a smart aleck comment, man, about back to the bumper stickers dropping through town.
Yeah.
Like little things keep happening, man, to get you hooked.
Correct.
Right?
Yep, exactly.
The letter.
Yeah, I mean, it's the little things, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So anyways, yeah, it was in Tampa too, so I was close to home. Like I was an hour and a half away. And at that time I was like, man, maybe I go home and, hang out for a little while wherever. I got stationed in Tampa. And as soon as I got there, the unit that I was with was on rotation for deployments, and we were deploying everywhere. They assigned me to the first JCS, and they put me on a 4-man team at first. You were on a 4-man team if you weren't airborne.
Okay.
So I was just itching. I'm like, man, come on, man. So they finally did like they had like 5 or 6 quotas for the next rotation for airborne school, and we had to try out, and the top 6 guys went. So I got that quota.
Cool.
And went through jump school.
Awesome. Good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rough. You know what I mean? I didn't feel old. There was like lieutenant colonels and stuff like that.
Was it a mixed bag in that school? You're mixing with Army guys and Navy guys?
Yeah,
Was
it's
it one
all
big. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And like we had a Navy chaplain, I remember, in our stick. You get put in sticks, of like 8 guys or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I joke about it, but they have something called beat your boots. So once your parachute's on, if like somebody messes up, you got to go down and touch your boots, and it just wears on your body. Anyways, yeah, I mean, you do 5 jumps. I don't know how familiar you are with it, but you get 5. It's a 3-week thing. First week is literally like you're in harnesses, man, and they're just pulling strings and like dropping you on the ground. Basically practicing PLFs, parachute landing falls. So you kind of like roll your body, but like a banana. So you go through that and you're beat up. I mean, you're just whooped for like a week. Everywhere you go, you got to run, because if you can't keep up with the person in front of you, it's probably because you're injured, because you had already passed the PT test and everything, the assessment at the beginning. Like the first day is assessment. If you don't pass that, they send you home. So anyways, they make you run everywhere, because if you can't keep up, then most likely you're hurt.
Okay.
So then they'll drop you if you're injured.
Yeah, running's a great equalizer. Right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like it doesn't matter how many pull-ups, how many push-ups, how many sit-ups. That the running, I've always called it, be the great equalizer.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that's a good. I never thought about it like that. Running everywhere to make sure you're not injured.
Yeah, that's how they weeded people out. I mean, you
okay.
run to where you're jumping, which is like, I think a mile or 2 or something. And then every building you go into, it has pull-up bars. So the
knock a
Marines
few
didn't
out.
struggle. That's where the Marines, I mean, the Marines are out there just like
Pulling away.
Yeah, like showing off.
Pulling the bar off
Because
the wall.
the whole purpose of that is to pull the parachute, right?
Right,
That you're
right.
pulling down on it and stuff. And it's not that difficult, but
Everything's got a purpose.
it's exactly. Yeah. So I mean, before you go into chow, you hit a
Bang 'em
max
out.
set of pull ups and go in. So yeah, I mean, physically it was pretty rough. Second week is tower week. They have a big tower and they pull you up on a crane, and the
Let you
crane
go.
just lets you go. But a lot of people don't get to experience that. I didn't get to experience that because of the wind. A lot of times the wind will blow you back into the
In the
tower.
tower.
Yeah. So they'll skip that. But they're still, then you get beat up even worse because you're doing all the other training things that they do. And then third week, you start jumping and you do 5 jumps.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that first step out of the aircraft, man?
Dude, that was one of my worst ass chewings of my career, man.
Oh.
Yeah. So I mean, you get out, man. I mean, they're explaining everything to you, and I jumped out the door, and you get a little spin going, and then you kind of open up the harness, make sure the parachute opens.
Do you have any hesitation? Where you're like, fuck it, man, I'm out. Let me out.
No, actually, they put an Army guy that didn't want to go there. He was like, I don't want to be right in front of me, and they were like, if this dude stops, if he stops, it messes up the rotation, right?
yeah.
Because
Left
you're
and right.
jumping out both doors. So he's like, if he hesitates, man, boot him out. Yeah, dude, you picked the right guy. You know what I mean? I was like, I'll love that. Like, can you guys video this thing, dude? Like, give me a GoPro when I boot him out that thing. It was funny. He kept like looking back at me like scared. He got out though. I mean, he got out the plane every time. I didn't have to kick him out. But yeah, it was
I mean, that's a better story to tell when a guy like me asks that question. Like, hey man, how was your first jump? You step right out? Hell yeah, I stepped right out. You'd rather tell that story. Oh man, the fucking Marine behind me had to kick me in my ass to get me out of the airplane.
Yeah, I mean, he was shaking, man.
Yeah, you left the airplane on your own, man.
Yeah, I was I was nervous. Like every jump I did, I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I had a little bit of like, just anxiety or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I remember the chute when I looked up and the chute opened and I could tell I was slowing down, once everything was good. And all I just had to do was coast down and land.
Ride it
I'm
out.
like, dude, I've been practicing the landing for 2 weeks. I just got to enjoy this.
Yeah.
But I remember it was me and another guy. Dude. I don't know what branch he was or anything, but me and him kind of clicked. I think it was Air Force. But me and him kind of clicked into berthing and stuff. And he was like 1 or 2 people behind me, man. And we were just screaming on the way down. We are like, fuck yeah, dude. This is fucking awesome. You know what I mean?
Until it's not.
But no, I landed and then you put your parachute in your bag and all that. And I was running. They tell you to run back to the bus. I'm running back to the bus. And this guy's like, stop. What the hell did I do wrong? And he's like, it was like the Army Sergeant Major of the base or something. And he just came out to like see how things were going. And he heard me screaming. And the whole thing is tactical, right? You're supposed to get to the ground fast and whatever.
Oh, there's times for
but
that.
it's training, dude. Like
this moment.
exactly. That's what I said. I was like, dude, that was like my chute open, bro.
It's a military moment. You're always there to fuck it up.
Yeah.
It's the happiest moment of your life, man.
You know what
just
I mean?
jump out of the airplane.
Yeah, it was
you didn't break
by
your
yourself.
ankle or knee, getting your ass, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, that is so.
I mean, we were extreme about it. Like nobody else was doing it. I was like, these guys are fucking weak, dude. This is fun. And I was just like, whoa.
That salty guy was probably looking up at the sky, going, "Who the hell's enjoying themselves?" Right?
Yeah. And I was like, maybe this guy's done it so much he don't remember that feeling or what, dude.
Never
like,
had it.
Yeah, but he was going in on me, dude.
Yeah.
He was like, this is a tactical thing. This is schools is professional. And I was like, man, I won't do it again because I did my first one. I got it all out.
Was it Grumpy?
No, yeah, right. Yeah.
The guys with the fob will understand.
Yeah,
that.
you'll know Grumpy. If you know Grumpy, you meet him, you know who he is. But yeah, that was a good feeling, man. And we did our, after our 5th jump, you get your little wings thing, man. I'm on,
sleds.
Yeah. So we all go back to the berthing, and congratulate everyone if you want to call it that. But yeah, it was a good feeling. Man.
Well, that's a different brotherhood now. Right?
Yeah,
because
agreed.
you're in a mixed bag of service members, man, right? But now you have that bond with a whole different group of people that you get to carry with, right? Now you have other avenues for relationships and contacts, right?
Yeah, and at the same time, man, like I just remember seeing people with like parachute wings, and I'm like, dude, how'd they get that?
Well,
And remember, a long time ago, it used to be a re-enlistment incentive, and that went away. So like guys weren't getting as much. And when you see the silver wing, nothing against it, you love, it's just a pride thing though too that like. The silver wings, a lot of those guys do 5 jumps and then they're done. You know what I mean? And like that's it. And you get your silver wing. But then you see the guy with the gold wings, and you're like, what's the difference? Right? Like a lot of people don't know what the difference is. So you have to to get the gold wings, you have to do you have to be on jump status.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be getting the pay. And then at the same time you have to like hit certain like combat equipment, night jump.
Yeah, certain markers.
Yeah, non-high speed aircraft like a Hilo or something like that. A Sherpa, I jumped the Sherpa Black Hawk thing. So I had checked all the boxes, but I need one more night jump combat equipment. And I lucked out, man. This is, going jumping a little bit ahead, but my last night jump for my gold wings was in Djibouti, Africa. And it was dark. Like it was a scary jump. I ain't gonna. But we got out the bird. I was first out to shoot because I had the combat equipment. A lot of guys were jumping. They call it Hollywood. So they jumped Hollywood, and I jumped combat equipment because I needed that on my records to be able to get it. So, but it was a prideful thing for me. But I also enjoyed it because a lot of the junior Marines looked at that and they had questions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And a lot of them were scared. I could tell. We're scared to ask, like, "Hey, how'd you do that? How'd you do that?" And then when they finally would, I would explain the whole thing and I would show them videos and all that.
Something just dawned on. Now, when you went to MacDill, when you went there to Tampa, were you still the 06 MOS or?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it wasn't. So they didn't give you any other kind of MOS identifier because you're now with the was it
No,
JSAC?
they had certain MOSs that were identified for the unit that
Okay.
they could select from, I guess. So it was like 0612 radio operators were one. I think there was a SATCOM guy and a couple actually maintenance guys too.
Yeah.
But we all did the same thing, and that was the thing. Like you went through like a bunch of like training and like testing and all this stuff.
So you weren't pigeonholed into only doing one thing.
No, you
You
did.
got there and you're doing all of
You
this.
did SATCOM,
Okay. Cool.
radios, networking, a little bit of cyber, like, I mean, you if it had anything to do with communications, you learned it, but it was small packages.
Okay.
Like, on a two-man jump team, one guy would carry the radios and the crypto, and the other guy would carry the basically like one of those black cases with all the equipment in it.
Okay.
So everything was built in. It could run off radio, battery powered or solar and stuff like
Okay.
that. So yeah,
All right.
it was like just a quick comm package. Like we called it jump team. I think at the time they called it a forward jump package.
Have comms will travel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what was did that time down at McDill? How long did that last for you?
I was there almost 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Staff sergeant by now?
No, I did get promoted to staff sergeant before I left there.
Okay.
But that's what forced the orders.
Okay.
That forced the orders, man.
Oh, so if you stayed as a sergeant, you would have stayed at McDill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because at that time it was weird, man. Like they did high year tenure at 10 years.
Okay.
So I hit that mark as a sergeant because of delayed it coming back in all the right. It was amazing. It worked out great to be honest with you. Like I was like, don't select me in a way because then I have to leave. Because when you do that, when you hit that mark, I never got looked at for promotion because of the zone
Mm.
or it was closed out or whatever. And so finally when they would extend you for 1 year at a time. You can't get PCS order if you only
Oh.
have a year on contract. So I was able to stay a little bit longer
Okay.
because of that. And then once I got selected, they were like, "All right, it's time to go back to the fleet." And I was just like, "Oh man, this sucks."
Was there opportunities for you to get back down there though as a staff sergeant?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. The monitors don't
Okay.
wanna push you right back to the same you're kinda working independently and you're not really you weren't training Marines as much, you know what I mean?
Okay.
You weren't part of, like, a Marine
Yeah.
Corps unit. So, I think from their perspective, it was like, "Hey, man, you got this opportunity. Now bring it back to the fleet and teach it." So,
Oh yeah.
that's kinda what I did.
All right. What was it like, man, leaving that and getting back into regular FMF or
I
Marine
mean,
Force?
struggled a little bit with
Yeah.
that because, we were independent, I mean,
And you
I don't
probably
wanna say
weren't dealing with all the
yeah,
garrison shit
everybody
either,
was
right?
E5 and above, there was no barracks, everybody rated BAH and comrades, so you didn't have I mean, there was some small stuff that would happen, but, like, overall, you didn't
Like
have
unit
but
inspection,
it
where you weren't
like
dealing with no junk in the bunk, no wall lockers, nothing like that, right?
but to be honest with you, like, the rank structure was different there even. It was like, if you're a team leader, we don't care what your rank is. If you get selected to be a team leader, you could potentially be a team leader senior of someone else that's senior.
Yeah.
Like, it was job position. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and you had to go to be a team, like, I became a team leader, after about a year, I think it was, as a jump team, and, it was really like it was another E5, and I was the senior E5 on the jump team or whatever, and so I reported, I ran the team and everything like
Okay.
that, but yeah.
All right. So where'd you end up then as a staff sergeant?
So I went back to, after I left, JCSE, I went over to Pendleton.
Okay.
Yeah, with basically like the 15th MEU. I was with a comm company for a little while
Okay.
over there. I talked my way out of that. Like that was so I lat moved to cybersecurity,
Okay.
right? So then I got another bonus, thank God. And that was nice. But they, basically like I was at a unit that didn't really deploy. They supported the base, and I was like, man, to get promoted, and that's what we do. We deploy.
All right.
So I walked in. Funny story, man. I walked in, and they had a monitor roadshow, and I walked in. Staff sergeant walked in, there was, like, 5 people in line in front of me, I was the 6th person, and I walk up to the end of the line, and all of a sudden, somebody's like, "Hey, Johnston," and I was like, "What the hell?" And the monitor was another gunny that I worked at in Okinawa, and, he was a master sergeant, they put him as a monitor, and he was like, "Where are you trying to go?" And I was like, "I just wanna deploy," and he's like, "15th MEU, take it or leave it," and I was like, "I'll take it."
Got it.
And I literally he's like, "Check your MOL in a couple days," and I walked out, and everybody in front of me turned around like, "What just happened, dude? Like, what was that?" So I went back, like, 3 days later, I had, orders to the 15th MEU,
Okay.
command element. I was
Okay.
command element, yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I did 3 floats with commando at the S6 platoon when I
Yeah,
was in
nice.
with commando.
15?
No, 26.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you say that word commando, I'm very, very
Yeah,
familiar, man.
yeah, it's a
So
different structure. A lot
yeah,
of people don't know how
yeah.
the like the mu element is really
Mhm.
built up, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I didn't know much about it and honestly I kind of dodged the mu
Yeah,
as a
but it's
junior
cool though
Marine.
because at the commando element, you're in everything.
Yeah,
You know, that was my takeaway from
correct.
it, man.
Yeah,
Like what I was talking about this morning, man. It was cool, man. You got the dip into this, you got the dip into that day to day bullshit
agree.
of
Yeah.
what the tankers were doing, of what the tracks were doing, of what the grunts were doing, what the air wing was doing. You're like, hey, and oh my God, you're needed here. And you go and get to hang out with them, do your thing, and then come back to the command element.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to deal with whatever their daily bullshit stuff day to day was as a comm guy, man. I I thought my time at the command element was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. And then once you bring everybody, all the units attach and
Mhm.
you start to build up for the workups and stuff like that. I worked with a lot of the different units because of my experience with all the, throughout the comm stuff. So like when people are running issues, I'm like, all right, I'll go drive over here and figure it out and help them out and get things going. Because if anything, it just delayed us. So it was a good experience on float. We deployed, had a bunch of cool stops, Singapore, different areas and stuff that we stopped at. And one of the coolest experiences for me on that deployment was the Tiger Cruise. You
Okay.
familiar with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I flew my dad out to Hawaii, and my dad was a merchant marine. So
Oh, that'd be a cool experience for him,
so
man.
yeah, I mean, he spent a couple days in Hawaii. Like he flew out a couple days early. Enjoyed Hawaii. His first time ever being there. Had fun. Jumped on the ship with me, man. And we're riding back, and they do the tours and all that.
Yeah.
What was difficult for me to deal with though, like I had to kind of step back. Like, whoa, I was like, Dad, man, like I knew the Marine stuff. I didn't know the Navy stuff so much. And I was like, basically like, hey, pops, like, this is, check out this like aircraft that the Marines were ready to show them they knew me and stuff. I was a gunny. And he was like, well, where's the anchor? I want to see the anchor of the boat. You know what I mean? So finally, but my dad was the
Got this
guy.
badass jet
Dude,
over here. He's like, forget that. Show me the anchor.
boy, my dad was the guy that asked every single question, and everybody else is just like walking through the tour. They're like, I'm just doing this because we're bored, kind of thing. And finally, they like that some of the chiefs and the chief mess or senior chiefs and chiefs pulled me to the side in the mess hall and were like, hey, man, like, can we just do your dad separate? And I was like, I guess, man. They were like, he's really cool, man, but he asks a lot of questions. We want to answer his questions, so we'll
Yeah.
just take him. And so my dad got the full experience, man. He
Yeah.
got to go up and drive the ship. And,
Cool.
I mean, he got a full boat. So yeah, it was neat.
Awesome. Awesome. So, you mentioned you were a gunny now. How was, what year are we at right now?
Oh, shoot, man. probably like 2017,
Okay.
something like that.
All right.
So I got promoted from staff sergeant to gunny on ship on float. So I got to see, the gen pop to the chief's difference.
Chief,
Yeah.
man.
It was cool. And I would say I always tried to avoid the Mews as a junior Marine. I mean, I couldn't avoid it, but like I didn't get a Mew as a junior Marine. So being able to see both as a staff sergeant and a gunny was a cool experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you still enjoying it being a gunny now?
Yeah,
Being out in
yeah,
the field?
gunny was
Yeah.
amazing. I loved the gunny rank. Staff
Okay.
sergeant, I wasn't a big fan. I did a lot of schooling with the
Okay.
cyber stuff, so I didn't feel like I had a whole lot of like leadership opportunities at that
Okay.
rank. But gunny, I was like, man, I heard gunny's the
Yeah.
shit.
You
Like,
got 2
let's do it.
rockers now, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, yeah. The gunny was like a fun rank.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so you're a gunny, right? And then, you're coming up, more time in grade, more time in service, and there's a 3rd rocker coming up. And so what made you want to go the first sergeant route
Oh
and not stay in the master sergeant MOS route? Like
man,
what was
yeah.
right?
So one, I was not a fan of cybersecurity. Like I became the briefer and
Okay.
a lot of the technical guys, like I understood it and I was better at briefing it. But to answer that question, man, it's kind of funny. I would tell you, you heard my first sergeant experience before, and my dad, I avoided him, man. To be honest with you, sergeant majors and first sergeants, I avoided, my whole career, man. I don't know, it was just rubbed me different, and so my dad's on float. He gets his chow before me. He's in the chow line. He gets it before me. He goes sit with a sergeant major, and I remember walking up to the table and like, dude, here it
Yeah.
goes. Right? Yeah. I didn't want to change it. He was already sitting down. I'm like, whatever, man. So I sit down with him, and he's like, hey, I haven't seen you, in here before. And I was like, yeah, I just got selected to gunny, you know, and so he's like, "What's next?" Same question, man. He's like, "What's next?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "F or M." Dude, this isn't even a conversation. Like, I always, plan to be a master sergeant, but in the back of my head, I was like, do I want to get out of the comm stuff? I've been doing it a long time. Maybe I need to something different, like a different challenge or whatever. I was good at it. And he's like, "Why not first sergeant? Why not first sergeant, sergeant major?" And I was like, "Honestly, man, and I told him honestly, I was like, "Man, I just never really liked you guys, man. Like, I didn't like the ones that I had thing." He's like, "Well, if you feel that way, why don't you change it?"
There you go.
And I was like, man, it set me back. And I was like, damn, I never thought about
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, be the opposite of everything you didn't like.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a real thing. Like, if you didn't like the way they did it, do it different.
Do it differently.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
that's a conversation I have, and I don't want to take away from you, but for what I do for my current career, I encourage people. We have to train our replacements. We got to mentor our replacement. And when you start talking to these people, and you're like, "Hey, man, have you ever thought about doing this?" "Oh no, I don't want that." "Well, why not?" And then my standard response is the same thing. I said, "Don't be like that, then. Then don't do that." And they're like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." So it's so that that mantra of not being that guy. It's up to us not to be that guy. We don't have to be. It might
Yeah.
be more difficult not to be that guy. I think we can use that mantra across multiple types of careers and leadership levels, man.
No, I agree, man.
Yeah.
And to me, like, as soon as he
So
said
what?
that,
You met a whole bunch of assholes. Don't be an asshole. Case
yeah,
closed.
it's simple.
Yeah. Go
But
be a first sergeant.
and you know how it is, man. Like, a lot of the people that take that route were drill instructors.
Mm.
I mean, I would say, like, when you go to first sergeant's course, 70% of those guys are drill instructors. Now I feel they're starting to weed in a little bit, and before I got first sergeant is when I went MSG. So I got histed on float. I got histed on the deployment. And my first fit rep was coming up, deployment was ending, and that's the first time you have to put on paper F or M, right? Like, as a gunny. There's a little box that you got to fill out, and then your OIC or your whoever's doing your fit rep puts a
Well,
recommendation.
hold on. Let me back you up a little bit
Yeah.
because something just dawned on me, man. You said MSG, Marine Security Guard. You are a E7 now. You're a gunny.
Correct.
And you're getting ready to figure out if you want to be a master sergeant or first sergeant, man. In my head, I'm thinking prior to you saying that, I'm like, shit, we skipped his B billet. What the hell did this guy do as a B billet?
So I got histed. So at the time, cybersecurity
So
was
histed meaning that you're too critical. MOS.
no.
or-
So at the time, before this, right?
Okay.
They were revamping the whole process of cybersecurity. Like,
Okay.
you got to go back to school, and you got to, like, I don't know if it was like the training wasn't good enough or something, but they were like, we're gonna make everybody go back through again. Like,
Well, it's probably evolving with technology. Right?
exactly what it was. And I think they were just like, they were having Marine instructors. They wanted to bring in civilians and, like, a higher level of cybersecurity. And at the time, MARSOC and cyber were the only two MOSs that were exempt. Well, during that revamp, they've created a, like, hey, pull those guys off. Like, if they're eligible, they're eligible. Well, the HIS list is you're gonna be screened for a drill instructor, security guard, or recruiter. Like, you're on the list. You go to medical, you get checked out, everything, unless you're disqualified, like, you pick one kind of thing, or like someone's gonna pick it for you. So I had the clearance already. So I was like, man, at the time I was like, man, I'm too senior and I got my family, I'm, young family and stuff, like, and I respect the man, but I was like, the drill instructor thing wasn't for me at that time. Like, I not that I don't think I could do it, I just didn't feel like that was my purpose. And then the recruiting thing, like, I feel like I'd be good at it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I could have a conversation and stuff like that with and do it. But and again, everybody has their purpose. Like, I love the fight about B billets. It's so interesting to hear everybody's take. Like, we find the Marines, we train the Marines, and then they're like, the MSG guys just go get to hang out in different countries. And I'm like, that sounds awesome.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. So I called the MSG monitor. And I was like, hey, man, I got everything I need. I'm ready to go. And he was like, I had like a month left of deployment. He was like, I have a class in like 3 months, take it or leave it. And I was like, I'm just coming back. He's like, I have a class in 3 months, take it or leave it. I'll give it you orders right now if you say yes.
I'm taking it.
I was like, done.
Fuck it.
Yeah. I called my wife after. I'm like, I got orders, just so you know, so I won't be home when you.
Who'd you end up marrying, man?
Catherine, my wife, Catherine.
Yeah. How'd you meet her?
Man. She was my server at Cracker Barrel. I was home on leave in the middle of a deployment, and she served me on Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel's luckily she don't work there, they'll fire her. But yeah, she was my server on she was beautiful, man. I looked at her and I was just like, and I was like, where's, played a little pickup line or whatever, like, where's a girl like you hang out at? And she like invited me to this like country bar and
Cool.
stuff. And yeah, we kicked it off and
Awesome.
yeah, had our first kid.
Good.
We got married after, the kid and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, we've been
Awesome.
kicking it ever since, man.
Okay,
That's the love
cool.
of my life.
Cool. Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
All right.
She was 4 stars too.
Oh,
I always give her shit about that. Yeah.
Awesome. So you get orders, Marine Security Guard.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you ended up in Kuwait.
Yeah, I go through the school, man, and all of a sudden they put it on the big screen, going through all the Marines on, and you're hearing all these awesome places, Hill and this and that, and all of a sudden it pops up like Gunny Johnston, Kuwait City, dude. That shit, excuse me, I was like, Kuwait City, man, like, nah, dude, like my wife is gonna hate this place, man. Like I've been there, the
Right.
deployment side. And so I was like, it is what it is, man. We're going to Kuwait. Like that's what they gave us. Marine Corps told us where we're
Right.
going. So yeah, man, we packed up and shipped out to Kuwait to the embassy. Yeah.
I was gonna
A lot different than I expected, man. A
Okay.
lot different. Like
Well, you're no longer just walking off an airplane, right?
yeah.
I mean, you
yeah,
have a gig to do now. You
yeah,
have Marines
yeah.
to take care of.
Yeah, the
You
embassy,
got
like,
embassy people to protect, right? Then you got your daily routine of being an embassy Marine, right?
Yeah.
Working, doing all that. What was your wife's reaction stepping off that airplane, man?
So she had all these questions like, can she wear shorts? Because of the height, heat,
Right.
she's like, can I wear shorts? Do I have to wear the head
Yeah.
wrap and like what, all the like
What'd you get me into?
we were showing up when it was Ramadan. So we
Oh.
were like, how can we drink water? Can we not? Like, what, I mean, what's the rules? Like all those things that we kind of learned, like as soon as we got there, they were like, our drivers pick, MSG's got drivers, driver picks us up, man. He's got, snacks and this and that, whatever. But, so we get to the embassy, they give me the whole tour.
You being a Marine, roll with it, right? Did your wife feel like she was being like fed through a garden or through a fire hose with all the changes?
Yeah, but she was so like, to her, it was just like, hey, I'm like, if this is what you're doing and this is what
Okay.
it takes us to be together, like,
Cool.
like let's
Okay.
ride. You know what I mean?
Excellent.
Like it was always like
God, is that
whatever it takes.
helpful, right?
Yeah. Like I mean, when
'Cause some guys don't have that.
I know when we got engaged, we weren't married, and I told her that's when I got orders to California. I was like, hey, I got orders to California. Like we had a kid, but we weren't married, and I was like, I mean, is this what you want to do? Her family's there and everything in Florida, right? We're close to home. So she was like, what do you mean? What is there another option? And I'm like, no, perfect,
Right.
And then I asked her to marry me the day before we got on the road.
Cool.
Driving a U-Haul all the way, just me, her, and our 1-year-old
Awesome.
kid.
Cool
Yeah.
story, man.
Yeah, man, it was a good trip.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good experience for us.
So, how was that whole time there for both of you, man, at Kuwait?
So we became close with the embassy. You live on compound. Like when
Right.
I first showed up, they had a house for me off compound. The RSO, regional security officer, great guy, was like, "Hey, man, I want you on. If you got to respond, dude." So it was a little scary, like moving. You're bringing your family on compound. Like if it gets attacked, like families are there. There was like 24 housing units, I think, that were there that all the families lived in. The kids played in a playground, man, and it got to a point, man, like I would run random drills, like just surprise drills, and sometimes or one of the times they thought it was real. So like all the kids are running, families are screaming. So I had to start sending text messages to the group, like, "Hey, man, like,
Training.
yeah, like something's about to go down, like be prepared." So because everybody's kind of wigging out, but it was a great experience, man. Like we left there, and my wife was crying, man. Like and I was like, "It's Kuwait, like." It's a dry country, like, the only place to really hang out was the embassy. So we kinda stayed within the compound, and that was it. We did take a couple cool trips to, Europe and, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, like, we got to see some stuff while we were there, so my kids got to experience a little bit of that
Cool.
too.
Now, why was she emotional? Because she was leaving the people?
Yeah, the people,
Yeah.
man. The Department of State community, man, is
Yeah.
amazing.
They are.
Like, they really take care of you, and I will tell you, as a Marine security guard gunny, you get treated like freaking royalty. You know what I mean? Like, they know that you're there to protect them with the Marines and you're in charge of them. They have your back no matter what. The ambassador,
Yeah.
like, great relationships, man. Like, I still keep in contact with all those people that we deploy with, man, and I really took that role serious.
Awesome.
I took that role to heart, man.
Well, you got
Like,
to,
I
right?
really trained those Marines. Like, we did a lot of work to make that, like, secure.
You never know.
Yeah,
You never know.
yeah.
We're back at it, brother. We left off last. You were leaving your Marine Security Guard detail in Kuwait. So let's pick up from there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very like emotional experience for my family and I. And a lot of the like local guard force that they have there, the LGF, man, shout out to those teams out there, man. They kept us secure and we worked well. I was telling some stories at the fire and stuff, and just the community that we built there, man. They threw this big party when I pulled up to the gate to leave. All the LGF from the night shifts and the different shifts came in and stood the road, and I was able to get out of the vehicle, shake their hand. When we got to the airport, uh, I was just slinging bags. We were running a little behind. They threw a big party for me, made food, everything. Like the LGF community did that for me. All the RSOs and stuff that were out there. We just were a big community of families. But when I was slinging bags at the airport with my wife and 2 kids, and my wife kind of grabbed me and was like, "Hey, you got to stop and take care of this." And I turned around, and my driver, man, was just like bawling, crying, and I'm gonna miss you, Gunny. That kind of relationship that we had. So that'll always be like a family to us, like a second family is those people out there. And what's really cool is the embassy did a program that allows those guys to get visas and move here
cool.
after usually like 20 years of service themselves.
Okay.
So a lot of those guys are now moving here, and I'm hoping to get to see them.
That'll be
and
great,
keep in
man.
touch. Yeah.
What a fantastic closing of the circle, man. If those guys come here and you're able to put your arms around them, man, that would be
Yeah, like one of my drivers just moved to Texas. We're looking to, get meet up at some point in the future, and just some of the LGF guys that it's such a great opportunity for them for
Now,
serving too.
when you were down at Tampa, you were talking about being a little bit salty about having to leave that and all that and move on with your career. The time you spent in Kuwait, did you get over that? Were you no longer sore, or were you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I was ready to move on too. After a year and a half, you kind of like I was the detachment commander of the year there, and it was my first post, which is pretty rare. But I learned so much so fast, and then once I really felt like I grasped it and had it where it needed to be, like we trained with the team, the fast guys and stuff like that. That when the Iraq embassy was raided around that time frame, we were training them before at our embassy, and it just happened to be a month later or something, they had to actually do that.
Wow.
So the relationship that we even built with some of the units that were stationed out there just for training purposes, EOD teams, all that, they would come to the embassy, kind of help us learn the threats that could happen at the embassy. So that was pretty interesting.
All right. So you guys get back from Kuwait, where'd you end up?
Beijing, China was my next post.
Like, did you come back to the States at all? Or
No. Yeah, we went straight there. Yeah, we went straight out. My wife was like, she's not a big fan of flying. Yeah, she's not a big fan of flying, so she was like, "Let's just go straight." And I'm like, "Okay." So that was an interesting, arrival and everything like that.
Okay.
The Marines were there waiting on us and kind of showed us the ropes pretty quickly. But I remember walking into that embassy
in Beijing.
Yeah, and just the size comparison in comparison to the other ones that I've been to. Because I had some opportunities when I was in Kuwait. I bounced around to the different embassies in that Middle East region and kind of assisted. Like the commander would send me out to other posts for new guys and kind of teach them the ropes, kind of how he wanted to do it. So our structure was once it was built, he was like, "Hey, I want to see the other embassies model that."
Okay.
Or
Now,
consulates also.
for my own ignorance and maybe to help the viewers out, you're a Marine Security Guard commander, right? You're the head. You're the head enlisted guy in charge. If you're in Kuwait and something kicked off somewhere else, would you guys go to respond to that, or would you stay put?
Yeah, we don't leave the embassy. I mean,
Okay.
especially in something like Kuwait, you got all the bases out there that can support that. But we're obviously involved. Like the embassy is heavily involved when it comes to just preparing for the threat in case it comes knocking on the door. But also just all the collaboration of the people there in country
Okay.
that control it. Department of State, individuals, regional security officers responsible for that whole safety of the country for any American citizens.
Were there any kind of and we'll get back to China, but were there any other like consulate offices in the region that you might have to travel to and might have to be worried about the security at those places?
So I mean, our headquarters in Region 2 was Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
So our first sergeant CO and kind of the admin team was based out of
All out
there.
of
So
Abu Dhabi?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So we got to travel there. There's a embassy there also
Okay.
that they work out of. So we got to go there and kind of see how they do things, had meetings with the CO.
Yeah.
But what was great is that was the opportunity to bring my family,
Okay.
see Abu Dhabi, Dubai, those
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff. So
Alright.
I bounced around a lot to different areas in that region and kind of trained.
Alright.
Saudi Arabia, a couple Bahrain and a few areas like that.
Okay.
So
Now, you talked about the size difference. Was Beijing just much more of a massive operation than what Kuwait was?
oh, it was tenfold. I mean,
Okay.
it was huge. The embassy, we walked in, there was the escalator. It looked like a mall,
Okay.
it looked like walking into a mall. So, when I walked in with that mindset of security, walking up to the embassy, I'm already looking at the compound, looking at vulnerabilities, things like that, and that's literally the first day checking in. I walked around the whole building and it's blocked.
Mhm.
So I did, walked all the way around it, just kind of seeing what I could observe and different, high points and things like that
What
coming
kind
up
of
close.
turnover was that for you? Because someone's on their way out the door, you're on your way in, right? So those concerns that you may have had, just for the sheer space that you had to cover now, did you feel like you had a good turnover where some of your initial thoughts were already previously addressed and covered?
So, I mean, it's difficult because until you get your eyes on it, you don't really know what to expect.
All right.
But everything I learned at my first post, I really just went there with an open mindset to see like what can I apply that works here, but also what else can I learn to make it even better.
Okay.
So I was the type to look at every way that we could possibly respond. How can we make that faster? And we would drill that.
Okay.
And sometimes it was fun as the detachment commander. You got to make up your drill.
Okay.
And usually I had a Marine that would assist me or whatever. But today I was like, hey, it's going to be a surprise. And I would just show up to the embassy and be the bad guy,
All right. All right.
kind of simulate me jumping the gate and running around. And then the Marines would have to chase me, take me down, handcuff,
All right.
and of course we're fighting back. I'm trying to go for, weapons after, we always cleared out and stuff like that. But, we run some pretty intense drills just to prepare for that.
Okay.
And when you're talking about a compound that big, just a runner, alone would take you a while to, like, really get there and find
Okay.
out unless you're tracking it,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Okay. So what was your biggest, besides the space, the job's the same, the environment's is obviously different, the language is different, the OG, the other government officials that are working there are different, right? But what was the main did you have any main takeaways, that the differences, challenges, or pluses or minus between Beijing and the Kuwait?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the relationship with the, host country. Kuwait was you walk around Kuwait on the streets and the people are just like, "Thank you for what you did for us
Yeah, back in the
years ago."
90s, yeah,
Yeah,
back 1990.
yeah, that I mean, they're still, they still celebrate, holidays and things like that,
Right.
and it's very, appreciative and all that. In China, you're just kinda, making sure, like, you're doing the right thing and
Okay.
staying responsible and stuff like that, so, that was always a big concern, obviously, with the Marines. Marines still go out and have a good time and all that,
Yes,
but,
yes, yes, we do.
so, at the back and so did I, they I got there, and I think I explained to you a little bit, Chris, like, when we met, but, um, I got there in October of 2019.
Mm,
So this was,
something's coming.
yeah,
Something's
yeah,
coming.
so we were dealing with COVID before it had a name, and the whole consulate, in Wuhan, a lot of people aren't aware there was a consulate in Wuhan that we evacuated first, when everything kicked off there. And, being part of that and hearing all those, discussions about how that was gonna go down. And, that was one of the consulates in country that we didn't have Marines at.
Mm,
So that was one thing that took us out, like me personally, a little bit out of that focus. Because if it would have been any other of the ones, I think there was 5 at the time. But, it was when the COVID thing actually went down over there, um it's I joke about it, but I have Wuhan Starbucks coffee mugs from Wuhan,
right.
directly from down there. So when one of my buddies closed it down, like I was like, "Hey man, the Starbucks is open. Bring me back a coffee cup," and he did. But that was a very challenging time for us when the embassy decided to make the evacuation call. They gave everyone 48 hours,
Okay.
and we went from hundreds of employees and families down to, like, I think at the end of it, there was, like, 60 of
Mm,
us and 20 Marines. So out of the 60 that stayed back, everyone else left, and there was like 20 Marines.
Okay.
And of course, being the gunny, like I wasn't leaving, you know.
No.
Uh,
Of course not.
family had to take off, wife and kids. But you know, I stayed back with the boys, and we
Where did they
became
send
so
everyone
tight.
to?
What's that?
Where do they send everyone to?
So you basically pick like a safe haven.
Okay.
So we had families that went to Hawaii
Okay.
and different areas. My wife flew back from direct flight from Beijing to New York. My wife Catherine does not like to fly.
Right.
So she was like any direct flight. So we got her to New York where luckily her dad lives. But like the New York Health Department like was chasing her down because her
Oh, the
family called.
tracking.
Yeah, her
Yeah.
family called and said, "Yo, you know, my granddaughter just got back from
From
uh
Wuhan.
from China. Is
Within
it safe?"
bats.
And they were like, "Whoa, she can't leave the house. She can't
Right.
quarantine." My wife jumped in the car and drove to Florida, you know. So we're
Super
our other
spreader.
yeah. Oh, so she, you know, she was already there like 4
I mean, looking
days.
back, man, what a ridiculous time. Right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they were like, "We want a list of the places you've been and all
Right.
this stuff." My wife's like, "What? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on?" So I was out there, man, and you know, at the time it was funny. We had 19 Marines total. So I called us when the name finally came out and got released. We called it the COVID-19. And I'll have to show you a picture, man, because as a joke, you know, just kind of like this, I feel something. Not I wouldn't call it a joke, but like when I felt something start to really feel serious about it, I planned a detachment photo, and it has all 19 of us with the white mask, but we're geared up. I mean, we got the flak, the helmets,
Right.
the
Right.
weapons, like out front of the embassy sign.
Okay.
So, you know, I was always one to be like, again, it's one of those growth things was like, hey, when you get opportunities like this, the young guys don't take pictures and stuff. You know, at least we didn't. Like, I wish I looked back and took a lot
Yeah.
more photos. So I was like, you know, I'd get the boys in uniform as much as they hated it. Like, hey guys, we're throwing on our blues, man, and we're gonna get out there, and you guys are gonna remember this
Right.
time.
Right.
And now looking back, you know, we still keep in touch. When I retired, a lot of those Marines, and they were junior guys and stuff that we just had to bond because of the situation. And of course, you know, the Marines live in the compound there, so they get tight just living together, you
Yeah.
know. And there's some struggles too, you know, that you know every now and then I'd come into work and be like, all right, let's hash this out, you
Yeah.
know, let's
You
figure
know,
it
it's
out.
an interesting testament, man, about the brotherhood, right? Because what you just mentioned about them living in the compound and being tight is exactly what happened on your first tour in Okinawa, right?
Yeah,
No cars, no nothing. That's all you
correct.
got for 1 year. And then now here you are, you've moved so much further into your career. Now you're in Beijing and you're living and witnessing the same exact thing as you did as a boot yourself, man.
Yeah,
So that I mean that's a wonderful testament, man, of how that brotherhood between Marines just I mean, it's eternal,
yeah.
man.
And it's a different dynamic on MSG. You gotta really learn how to balance it. You know, we had PFC straight out of boot camp and SOI. Like they weren't even hitting the fleet.
Okay.
Yeah, they call them MGPEF Marines. So they literally sign a contract, and so I was getting PFCs, but I also had staff sergeants doing the same job. You
Okay.
know, so it's a balance of like the rank structure, but still like understanding that if you only have one PFC, he's got to hang out with somebody,
Yeah.
you know. And I wanted the guys to go out together for the safety purposes and things like that. But once it went into lockdown, you know, I was getting pizzas delivered and stuff to the embassy house, and even inviting a lot of the Department of State guys into the house to just kind of have small little
Mhm.
get-togethers and try to keep morale up because I felt it, man. I was like, this is gonna drag longer than what people are talking. You
Yeah.
know, even in the
2
evacuation,
weeks.
even in the evacuation, they were like, "Oh, we only have to do a 30-day," and then they kept extending it,
Yeah.
extending, extending it, and that was the thing that I was like, "Let's just
Were you
ride it
guys going
out."
through all the bullshit that we were there? Like the 6 feet and only, certain amount of people in a certain amount of space and where the hallways filled with arrows and little tape marks all over to make
Yeah,
sure
but you
everyone
know,
I
honestly,
mean, was it like that? I mean, was it as crazy there at the embassy as it was in the
It
States?
it went into complete lockdown. I mean, you know, I compare Beijing to, like, adding, like, LA and Atlanta together. Like,
Oh,
that's
shit.
how crazy madhouse traffic, you know, guys are driving up on the sidewalks on, like, delivery,
Mhm.
McDonald's scooters and things like that, and it's just a madhouse, and it went from, like, looking out my window of my high rise and where they had me off compound because I had the family there, and, you know, it looked like ants were crawling.
Mm.
And then one day, all of a sudden, nobody's out
Nothing.
there, and I
Nothing.
would have to walk to the embassy to go to work, and they actually gave me a letter. It's one of the things I wish I would've kept. They gave me a letter, and one side it was English, the other side was in, Mandarin, uh, of like, hey, this guy works
This
for the
guy's
American
good.
embassy. Like, don't mess with him. Like, let him get to work. Because if people went outside, they were arrested right away. So there was things like that that were different here. When people told you don't go outside here, people were still going to do it.
Yeah.
Restaurants completely shut down. You could only get deliveries. So it got pretty crazy for a while. So it was funny because we were so far ahead though, with the quarantine stuff and all those kind of things and the mask. When it ended, everybody else was really starting to get going with it, the different countries and stuff.
Did you have a different sense of peace in your realm there with everyone gone? Did you feel like, okay, I can relax a little bit as far as because you don't have those thousands of people crawling around the street anymore in front of the embassy, right? You don't have all these visitors that can be potential threats. Did you have a different sense of, I'm not going to say you let your guard down because I know you wouldn't, but did you have like a different sense of like, all right, I get to relax a little bit because we're all shut down?
No, I think for me personally, man,
Or
if
were you
any
amped up a little
I
bit?
I tried to get the Marines to have that, like, "Hey, guys, like, this is our time to kinda, just kinda, like, get to know each other and all that because we weren't allowed to do much, out in town or whatever. But for me, it was heightened for me because I had concerns that, like, I had Marines that were coming up on EAS,
Mm.
and they were like, you can't hold them. Like, you can't hold them here." And, like, I was literally like, "Guys, I need you to extend for, like, 90 days. Can you give me 90 days? Can you give me 6 months?" And thank God, just the relationship that we had with the team out there, like, majority of them stayed
Oh, good.
longer
Yeah.
because they shut down flight. So, like, I couldn't get guys in to even replace them. The visa process was delayed, like, extremely because they were like, "Well, if we're not allowing anybody in, we're not gonna approve
Right.
visas and stuff."
Yeah.
It became a little bit more stressful.
Okay.
What was both a positive and negative is that because my family was gone, I was able to focus a lot more on the mission. So I was spending a lot of time
With the guys.
with the guys at the embassy,
Cool.
just standing shifts, kind of filling in for them where I could, cooking
Okay.
meals, like
Yeah.
anything I could do to keep morale up was
Now, did your time at the embassy end during COVID, or was COVID done and over and then you left?
so funny story. The from my understanding, and I don't know how to even get this like written down or so or I guess kinda, like, solidified is I was told I had the biggest Marine Corps ball hosted in Beijing, China in 2020,
Really?
because in 2020, the commandant had shut down all his he shut down his balls. So, naturally, all the other COs are gonna follow suit.
Right.
And so for a active duty Marine Corps ball, m I believe that I had 350 people in Beijing, China
Show up for your
at
ball.
a ball with no mask, no anything. This was November of 2020.
Wow.
So that was like for pulling people were like gunny, like if you pull this off, because we charge
Legend.
for tickets and stuff like that. And they were like, if you're able to pull this off, I remember that like
In Beijing, of
the
all
region
places.
commander called me and was like, Gunny, we didn't know this was really going down. You know what I mean? I was kind of like, if I say anything too early,
They're gonna shut you
then
down.
they could shut me down.
Right.
So like they had this Excel spreadsheet, man, that everybody would fill out. Like, hey, are you having a ball or no, or a cake cutting ceremony? How many
Something.
people? Who's the guest of honor? Right?
Right.
One of those like lists. And out of every region around the country, everyone put no. And I was like, oh man, I wonder if they're gonna catch my yes. So I put yes, 350 people, and nobody caught it. And then like the like a couple days before the ball was supposed to kick off, I was like, man, I just need to, I want to at least give them the heads up because this is a big deal. And it was awesome. And we had a 1-star Navy um commander at the embassy. He was our guest of honor and he
Okay.
did an amazing job.
Cool.
Shout out to him. Honestly, one of the best. And he did such a great job talking about the history of Marines in China and all that. Shout out to him. Pulling that off, like I'll have to show you some of those pictures
Yeah.
too. But pulling that off after once everything was done and people were leaving, I don't know how many people came up and were like, "Gunny, I cannot believe you
Hell yeah.
pulled that out."
When you're wrapping up in Beijing, was leaving Beijing as bittersweet as it was?
Somebody popped positive on the flight,
Mm.
and they basically put people between a certain amount of rows, like 15 rows ahead and 15 rows behind. They put them in like a Chinese hotel, quarantine hotel, So my wife was stuck there, man, with the kids for 15 days with 2 towels. They wouldn't do laundry. I mean, it
Pulling her
was
hair out.
yeah. I mean, the food that they were feeding them from the Chinese menus and my kids wouldn't eat. It was a stressful time for me. That's one of the probably the biggest regrets that I felt a little selfish, um, because they were really coming back just to be together as a family.
Right.
And the whole thing on MSG was like, I didn't expect it to be a deployment concept of it, right? So it kinda turned into a little bit of deployment being a 7-month delay. But when they got put in a quarantine like that, and it was Chinese government controlled, I was just like, "Man, I'm ready to go. Like,
Yeah.
I need to get out of here." Uh, but when I came back, I got stationed in San Diego
Mm,
at, Comm Squadron 38.
okay.
Man, I walked into the building, and these guys are wearing masks, like, it was still a rule, like, I'm like, "Dude, we've been past this for a while." Like, I just came from China, and everybody was like, "Oh, you just came from"
You walking in there with the
Yeah,
Sandy, "What's up, Bill?"
yeah.
Mask.
I brought that to work a couple times, and people were like, "Well, where'd you order that?" I was like, "No, I
I
didn't
got
order
it.
this,
Yeah,
man.
I was
Yeah,
there.
I came from Beijing." Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, and of course, a lot of people wanna hear about how, how everything went down and stuff, and so but it was a ride. It was a roller coaster, but I was glad to get back to the
good,
States. Yeah.
good. How was life in San Diego, man? Was your wife and kids appreciative of it?
That's where I retired out of, and my wife didn't wanna leave.
Yeah.
She was like, "There's so much to do, the weather's great," and I agree. San Diego is beautiful, but the cost of living
Yeah,
there.
I've always said it would be the best thing we can do is, like, wall off San Diego from the rest of California and just let it be its own, like the West Coast version of DC or something like that,
Yeah.
man. Just like not be a state, but take it away from California.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't get any more beautiful than San Diego, man, in the United States.
Yeah, and I think out of total I did, probably like 7 to 8 years out of my career,
Okay.
between, Pendleton and Miramar.
Okay.
So, yeah, we liked it there.
What the hell got you on board a submarine, man? Tell us about that. Tell us
Jumping
what
back to
happened.
the JCSE days, man, and shout out that they have their own community, there. If you were part of the unit, you become part of the, organization, and they meet up every year and stuff. It's such a good community there, close group. Yeah, that we came back from deployment. Well, they called it deployment. Some of us, I got Italy. I lived in Italy. I come back. The commander's like, "Hey, we guys, everything's switched up. We got Paycom and Southcom," and I was like, raised my hand like, "Hey, how do I switch to another squadron? I want to deploy. Like, I want to go to Afghanistan. Like, I need to
Let's
do
go.
something for my career too."
Right.
It was different for the Marines. Like the Marines were hunting those for that purpose was promotion and just career wise. Like that's what we do. And some of the other guys like, you could have that. I want to go to Hawaii.
Right.
I was supposed to go to a certain place and all of a sudden that didn't work out, got Italy, came back from Italy, and, I was like, "I wanna go," and they were like, "Hey, we have a maritime mission, but we don't know anything about it," and I was like, "I'll take it." Like, I was always that guy, like,
Yeah.
throw my hand up,
Fuck it. I
sometimes
got it.
it's gonna suck, volunteer, and sometimes it's gonna suck,
Yeah.
sometimes it's gonna be good, and, everybody else was like, "If you guys don't have any info on it, like, we don't want nothing to do with it, like,
Yeah.
you let us know, and then we'll decide." So I just jumped on it, and it ended up being some pretty cool missions. My first one out was on a, destroyer, the USS Oscar Austin. Shout out to those guys, man. They took me on board. I was the only Marine. They took me on board, really took care of me, man. The CO, everybody, really took care of me. So yeah, that was my first
Cool.
like gig,
Okay.
Yeah, I was my title at that point was called direct support communicator. So I was kind of supporting some soft missions from the ship. So that was a unique, really cool, unique experience of what I got to learn sitting in some of those briefs and things like that. And then, I did a 7-month deployment, had a great time. The boat that was supposed to replace me, the USS Gonzalez, both named after Marines. I jumped over, from there because the guy that was replacing to me didn't make it out. And that time I was single, I was still hungry, just like I said, with the Iraq extension. I was like, "Hey, if they can fly me over there, like,
Yeah.
I'll stay another however long you need me until he shows up." So they heloed up on a RAS, replenishment at sea. They heloed me over and, I jumped on board there, got everything set up, and I stayed on there for about a month on the USS Gonzalez. I got during that time, and this is a shout out to the Navy. I got my East Wasp pin. Not
Okay.
sure if you're familiar with
Yeah,
that.
like
Enlisted surface
that's
warfare.
it.
Yeah, so you basically learn everything about the ship.
Yeah, damage
Um,
control and all that.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you flush the toilet, where does it go?
Right.
Every type of gun
Is
system
that
on
one
there.
chest device Marines can only wear that's not a Marine chest device they can only wear on the ships?
No, I still
Is that
can't. I
those
still technically couldn't wear it. Like
Okay.
they pinned me and all
Yeah,
that, but it was cool. They engraved the back of it for me,
Cool.
man, and they were so like they call it a murder board, which is like the E16 that are just drilling you with questions on everything you learn, and then you go to the chief's mess, and then you do the chief's board, and then you know, if you pass that, then they you know they engraved the back of it
Cool.
and stuff. I got it in the shadow box and things.
Cool.
So pretty neat experience. Like I gained so much respect for what the Navy guys did. Every Navy person is a firefighter. Every Navy person is damage control. You know what I mean? Like it's not specific people that do that. Everybody's responsibility is to protect the ship.
Yeah, I don't
And
know where I was. I saw those guys training in something, and I don't know if I was in Pensacola, man, or San Diego or wherever the hell I was, but we went walking through a place, man, and they were doing some kind of training, and there were like these young sailor guys like down in a pit, and there was like it was like a simulator of a pipe bursting, and they had to get rope and like wrap it around there and make it tight to like seal the pipe
Oh
from
yeah.
whatever. And those guys were just there's lights flashing and people yelling, and the guys are getting sprayed with water, and they're got the goggles on, and they're trying to put like rope around the broken pipe to stop it from spraying all over. I mean, it looked intense, but I mean, for the maybe 30 seconds we were walking by, we're like, oh, that's what those guys do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
And a lot of this, Chris, like that Navy experience, I was a sergeant at the time, and
okay.
individual augment on there, and so all those ship things were even before I went on the MEU and stuff.
No,
Like I had a big respect for the Navy after that destroyer
okay.
deployment, too. Well, anyways, I went back to the unit after the deployment, and the guys were so grateful that I was the teams and stuff that I was working for were so grateful that like I was willing to extend and like didn't ask questions and anything they asked me to do. And so there was an issue with the submarine. There were some issues on board with the guy that was on there, like stuff wasn't working or whatever. And they were like, "Hey man, can you go out there and jump on the submarine and fix it?" So I deployed on the USS Georgia,
Okay.
which is the nuclear, I think a Virginia class nuclear submarine. So they could shoot tomahawks and things like that. But anyways, like I went on board there, and man, I was out 45 days on
Yeah,
the
cool.
submarine, no training. Like you do your trials. The new command comes on board, and they got to do all the trials to kind of take over command in the ship or the sub. But yeah, like when they do the dive, it's like kind of like a little bit of the movies, like you're like experiencing like what's going on, and they ran a gas mask drill, and I didn't know how you connect the line to the thing. So it was just the guys were laughing at me. It was
Right.
comical to them, like when I'm like holding my breath, thinking something's going on, and luckily it was just a test.
Did you catch any shit from your Marines for spending so much time on the boat? Like being part
Not
of
really.
the Navy?
I
Like anyone come
just
up with any smart ass comments like sailor or shipmate or anything at all?
no.
Anyone giving you a hard time?
I think if anything, man, people were like, "Wow, what a cool opportunity!"
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
like tell me more.
Well, I mean, by you volunteering, you probably saved a few of those guys too from having to deal with it, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
So
mean, we were a joint unit, so anybody had the opportunity
okay.
to jump on that mission. Like we had a Navy guy, the regular Navy guy that jumped on. He was actually Boston's his name. He was able to get the sub pin too.
Okay.
So which is a big thing for those guys,
Cool.
especially if they're not sub guys to be
Yeah.
able to do that. So there's a lot of cool little
Okay.
opportunities like that to
All right.
learn stuff.
So San Diego, you're back to comm squadron, right? What rank were you when you were leaving after you got out of done with Beijing and back in San Diego?
So I was a gunny.
Okay.
Yeah, I showed up a gunny, but I knew like the board message was coming for first sergeant, and I had been putting Fs like we talked about,
Right.
and I knew it was coming, man. So like I got there and was like kind of like the whole COVID thing was going on, and I'm like, man, how engaged do I get with these Marines? When I know like
You're
probably
leaving.
soon I'm gonna be
Maybe
yeah,
popping
exactly.
smoke and moving on.
Correct. The platoon I got to was using COVID as an excuse to like not really like be productive, to be
Okay.
honest. Yeah. So I showed up and I watched for like usually I feel it out. I look like that quiet staff NCO for like 2 weeks. And I usually never make it 2 weeks. So after like the 5th day, man, I was just
Start barking.
oh, dude. They had a picnic table, right? If you were outside, you didn't have to wear a mask. So the Marines had this like pick up it was like a smoke pit picnic table.
Right.
And I told them, I was like, hey man, if you guys think the picnic table is a hangout and you're not gonna get stuff done, like here's a list of things to do. And I come back and there'd be, 20 Marines smoking and joking at the picnic table.
And
I was
nothing
like,
getting done?
yeah, but I was like, this is your one opportunity. If you guys really like that picnic table and that hangout spot, you probably need to start doing something productive. And I came in the next day and I was like, I gave you a warning. I was like, the picnic table, I donated the picnic
Yeah, it's
table.
gone.
Yeah.
You had your shot.
Yeah,
Give
I
it your
donated
chance.
the picnic table to another platoon, man. They were giving all the Marines, shit about it, like, oh, we got y'all's picnic table or whatever. And I was just like, hey, y'all can have, I think I gave it to like the maintenance platoon.
There's no
Like,
midnight mission to go get it back at all?
yeah, no, that wouldn't have been bad. The next thing, man, is we would have had a fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We would have had a bonfire with
burn
a
it up.
picnic table.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing wasn't coming back. But man, those Marines, I could tell they had been doing that for so long that they were just like, man,
Skating.
like who's this new guy walking in and changing it
Skating's
up?
over.
Yeah, but I got selected to First Sergeant, and when I was leaving that platoon, there were a lot of Marines that were like, we're gonna miss you guys. Like, you were tough on us,
Yeah,
but
you
in
were
a
good.
way we needed it. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like we really needed it. And once we got it structured, and I was just showing them simple things, man. Like when people make a lot of this stuff more difficult than it needs to be, in my opinion.
Always.
I'm like, let's fix this. Like, let's get it done. Like when we would do accountability of the equipment, I'm like, put it in order, like the dang CMR is. Put it in line, serial number order, and we walk through it with the lieutenant when he wants to do it, and it's done easy. Does it take a week to get it there? Yes. So you're gonna work hard for a week, but we would knock things that would take 2 hours a lieutenant going through on a CMR to like 4 hours, just because we simplify. And those were things like that the Marines didn't like doing the work up front because they were sweating and grinding. But once it was done, they just saw how much time, and then that time would be time to PT or do something more productive, So,
Yeah. So, that message came down that you got selected for First Sergeant, all right? Is that cool?
dude, I was thrilled, man.
Yeah.
Because I knew right away, I was like, this is that. Now it's time to execute of what you talked about with that Sergeant Major.
All right.
Right? At
Yeah.
that table when he was like,
Yep.
then,
Then
change
don't
it.
be that guy.
Then
Be the
change it.
Right.
So I was like, here it goes. Right. So what was at the time, man, I reached out to the monitor. I was like, hey, is there anywhere else I could go? Right. I was looking at recon, platoon, one of the recons and stuff. And I was like, man, I can go over there, maybe jump with those guys still, have a little bit of fun. But the monitor was like, oh yeah, I can move you to Pendleton, but it's a PCA. You got to pay for your own move. My wife was pregnant with our 3rd kid. It was just like a lot. I was like, we only been here a couple times. We already dealt with the stress with China and all that. Like, I don't want to do that again. And he's like, you could either take that one in Pendleton, or you could stay in the unit you're at, and then just have your unit sergeant major move you however he wants. Right? They don't track what company you go to.
Okay.
Right? They just put you to a unit, and then the sergeant major decides that. So the sergeant major moved me over to headquarters of the Comm Squadron 38.
Okay.
Honestly, man, best experience I had. Yeah,
Okay.
because the headquarters is a different dynamic, man. And shout out to Captain Butler, man. We're close buddies now that I retired. He comes visit me and things like that. But well, he's a major now, working for the White House Communications. So shout out to him and his family. But it's a different dynamic. Like we had a S4 major, but the company commander's a captain, right?
Mm.
The S4 major is like, hey, we're not doing formation. We're too busy for planning. It's a bit of a conflict, and it was a challenge as the first sergeant to really like get everyone together. And luckily, just the relationship Captain Butler and I had, we were able to like really get the whole S1,
Cool.
everybody involved, all the S shops. We're like, hey guys, at the end of the day, we're a team, and I would have to have those conversations, say like, I get it, like you outrank the CO, man, but your Marines are gonna follow you. And he was like, you're right, First Sergeant. It was kind of a joke. He was like, I'll do it for you. I'm not doing it for the captain, but I'll do it for you, First Sergeant, because you're a good dude. So, anyways, we started, really jiving like that. And did some fun things, had hiking, like a lot of stuff we brought back. We
Okay.
were like, let's bring back like what Marines do, hiking, things like that,
Yeah.
So yeah, I learned a lot, man. I dealt with a lot of situations that the Marine Corps has changed quite a bit since we came in. Don't ask, don't tell, all these just little changes. Um uh that like some I felt prepared for, but some I never dealt with. So when those things came up, I felt prepared to like, all right, you could figure this out. We could do this. We'll do it together as a team, like me and the company commander. And then yeah, so that went well.
I had a guest on the podcast. I know what you're referring to. He had a really, really tough time, man, dealing with some of those changes that came down during that time frame about having to talk to things that we're not used to talking about,
Yeah,
including things in musters and briefs that we're not used to, holding formations about stuff like that. And he was never prepared for it,
yeah,
and he hated it. And it was the Marine Corps was no longer a place that he wanted to be part of, man. And he got out.
yeah,
He was all in it, and he got out later on in his career. He just had to ride it out, but he had such strong feelings for that because it just took away that war fighter type of mentality. You're like, you want me to discuss what? You want me to do what? It just didn't. He 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 felt like he was violating himself.
yeah.
So during those time frames, man, how you guys put up with it, and luckily enough for you, man, you were able to gel and vibe and get through it, man. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, there was some ones that make you like really got to make a decision, and my
yeah,
decision isn't always what I want it to be. And I would tell you that first sergeant rank, some of it was difficult too because, and I had a sergeant major finally explain it to me, and I was always asked like, when does it get political? Like, at what stage does it get political? And I felt like I started to feel a little bit of that because as a gunny, you're so
how
engaged
do
with
you
the
answer
Marine,
that?
huh?
How do you answer that?
Nobody would ever answer that question.
Okay.
That's one question that I would ask, and nobody could ever answer it. First sergeant's course, when I have everybody there, the instructor, sergeant major, Marine Corps comes, all that, right? Hey, I got a question. When does I hear it gets political? When does that stage happen? And it's a good like me and some people don't think that deep, but I would see it. I'm like, this guy doesn't want to do that. In his heart, he doesn't wanna do that,
Right.
but he has to, right? And that's where it starts to bridge the gap, I feel like, between gunny and first sergeant, and maybe that's the difference between that master sergeant route and the platoon aspect, because when you're really focused on your Marines individually, you're there to support them, and that's your number 1. When you start to get a little bit detached from it, where you got couple hundred Marines, that the higher you crew up to that sergeant major level, you got thousands, right? Depending on like what
Yeah.
level you're at the sergeant major levels. It's like you're detached from the actual like being on the ground with the Marines a lot. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you're handling all the top 10% and the bottom 10%, the ones that are getting awarded promoted and the ones that are getting in trouble and doing stupid things.
Yeah.
So that's where I felt like I started like, "Oh, man, I don't know as much individually about the Marines because there's so many."
As compared to what you're used to.
Correct. So I was out, and it looked different. I mean, you used to see, like, when sergeant major's walking around, like, "What is he doing, man? He's trying to find something."
Yeah.
A lot of that was just us to get to know the Marines.
Right.
Like, I learned that. I didn't like the sergeant majors and first sergeant because they were going around, they'd be like, "Hey, you didn't get a haircut," or this, that, right? Like, it was always something they would find that was wrong,
Yeah, your
right?
mustache.
Yeah. Very rarely you're just like, "Hey, Devil Dog, you look amazing, man. Great sharp uniform," right? It was always like you're waiting for something negative to
Yeah,
come
of
out. You're
course.
like checking yourself, right?
Yeah.
Looking at blouse boots, like that's what
Making sure
Marines
your
do,
back heel
man.
isn't on the grass.
Yeah, yeah. And as much as we hate it, we're like dirtbag. Like,
Yeah.
look at his boots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and even if you don't really care that much. So I kind of started feeling that shift, but I was like, man, I got to get engaged with the Marine. I got to find a way for me
I
to
gotta make the time.
personally engage them. My thing, man, I taught the guys financial stuff, like in depth credit reporting, the things you don't learn. And
Right.
when you talk about all the different type of people you get in the Marine Corps, you know, from the rich kid that wants to prove the family wrong and he becomes an infantry guy, all the way down to the kids that grew up in the ghetto or the trailer park that never been taught anything from their
Right.
family. So you got the kid that his nanny did the laundry, and the kid that didn't have laundry services at his house, his mom had to walk to the freaking, the local laundromat kind of thing. So you might teach a kid to do the laundry in 2 different situations like that.
Right.
Extreme. But yeah, it was such a humbling, like being a first sergeant was for me. I really took in everything that I remembered with that conversation from that sergeant major.
Okay.
Like
And
I
you
really
still have
took
the
that.
drive, you still have the mindset too of being checking in your alphas and like, hey man, I'm gonna go learn something, right? So you still have that drive in you. You still have that ethic in you,
Yeah, correct.
right?
Yeah.
And so did you have any did you have any did you have any problems with the first sergeant rank?
Um,
Like unanswered like expectations that weren't met, or did you feel like you had a hard time not being able to go after things?
yeah, I mean, it that highly depends on your commander.
Okay.
Like, I had some commanders that really just let me, like, do
Go.
your thing,
Cool.
and he joked at my retirement that, like, we would have a problem, like, maybe over a weekend, right? Marine does something stupid, underage drink, whatever it is, right? And it's wrong, but, like, we've been there, and that's what I remember. I remember looking back and being like, "I did this stuff, and somebody helped me." So, it was very difficult to judge. Do
When
you
you've been there.
treat the Marines the same, or do you the ones that have the work ethic and all that? The ones that are repeat offenders, do you treat them differently than also the guy, right? And that's a
Yeah.
hard decision to make, and that's one that a first sergeant has to do because now you gotta go to the CO with the recommendation.
Mm.
But he joked about it, man, because I would handle the situation and then walk into his office on a Monday morning and be like, "Hey, good morning, sir. Hey, we had this go down over the weekend, but it's done. This is what I did. We're good." And he's like, "Okay." And I'd walk out. I was like, "I'm not gonna," you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
you're walking out before he's even done processing everything.
and and he kind of knew how I was. He's like, "First sergeant, 99.9% of the time you make the right decision. It's gonna be that 1% or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Like, I have to answer to it, so just keep me informed." And I'm
There
like,
you go.
"I'll get it." So
It's
we were
fair.
good.
It's fair.
Yeah, we were good at that, I
Okay.
was like, "Hey, sir, this is what's going on. This is what I'm gonna do. Is that good?" And
Yeah,
he'd be
it's
like,
good
"Yeah."
too from a point of view that if you didn't make the right decision, right? I mean, by keeping him in the loop, then he's got your back.
Correct.
If you kept him in the dark all the time, something comes up, he doesn't know what the hell's going on. He can't have your back.
Yeah.
So it's good that you had that kind of relationship with him.
Yeah, that means a lot, but I also had the, like, I control this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is how we do it. I don't care what you think. Like, just wouldn't listen, man. I butted heads with one of my commanders, man, and that was still that was a struggle to like get through. And I was a acting sergeant major. They put me in that role, they thought I was doing really well. Anyways, the group sergeant major got involved, man. Good dude. Like he took care of me. He saw it. He saw it from the outside. He was like, "Dude, you're busting your ass. Like, what's going on?" And I gave him a little snippet of really what was going on, and he was just like, "Hey, I I need a first sergeant like you over at an tack company."
Okay.
So it was a weird dynamic where they moved me over there because then I reported directly to the group sergeant major, and my company commander, which was the major, reported directly to the group colonel.
Okay.
So it was a company under group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
So it was different. It was a different dynamic, but because of that relationship that we had, it was easy for us. He was like, "You guys are out there doing your thing, and I know I got the right team to do it.
Cool.
So like, don't, handle it. Let us know what's going on." Yeah, I remember walking through the hallway, and it's shared a building with Com Squadron. And, I was walking in through the building and, I run into the colonel, and the new guy just showed up, new colonel just took over, and he looked at my name tag and he was like, "Johnston." He's like, "First Sergeant Johnston." He's like, "I know we haven't met before, but he's your name is out there just so you know." And I really took that like with
Cool.
pride. I was like, "Man, there's some hardworking dudes out here and female first sergeants and stuff like that." But when he was like, "I know who you are because of the word. That's why we put you over there. Now I
Yeah.
understand it." And I was like, "That's cool."
Cool.
Like that was cool. Yeah.
Cool. How much time do you spend there?
At tack
Same.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there about probably a year and a half. Like
Okay.
that was where I retired at.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So when the decision came up, was chasing the sergeant major ever a thought for you? You just decided you were gonna go as far as you can with the time, with your time in, and then
Yeah, I mean,
think
I
about extending and going doing all the professional schooling and try to get after the, sergeant major, or did you just decide to get out and let it ride out?
yeah, it was a conversation. Like it was difficult. I was at 21 years.
Okay.
I still felt a little delayed in comparison. So I was happy where I was at, but I
Okay.
also was like, I kind of should already be at that next level. I was actually up for the upcoming board,
Okay.
and that's why I had to make a decision because if you commit, you have to commit for at least 2 years,
Mm.
right? Like if you accept the promotion when
Sergeant major.
the sergeant major,
Okay.
well, first you get frocked. And then when your time comes for promotion, then you commit to 2 more years.
Okay.
So that could be a 2.5 up to 3-year time
Mm.
frame.
Okay.
I was in San Diego, which we enjoyed, like I said, but I knew I wanted to retire on the East Coast. So I was asking them, would they give me orders to the East Coast if I got selected? And he was basically like, I will have that conversation once you get promoted.
Ah,
It's the
fuckers.
needs of the Marine Corps, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like I'll do the 3 years. I would have committed to the 3 years, man, but
If they knew, right?
but like those are the conversations I didn't know either, man. Like coming up in the Marine Corps, like I was like, send me to Paris Island, man.
Yeah.
I'll take a opportunity. I didn't do the drill field. Give me an opportunity as
Yeah.
a first sergeant to maybe try it out. There's nothing written down about this, man. And I asked the sergeant major of Marine Corps actually this. There's nothing written down about this, but you can't be a first sergeant at the drill field unless you were a previous hat.
Oh, okay.
But you can be a first sergeant on MSG, and you could be a sergeant major on recruiting if you
Okay.
weren't a prior.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So they kind of hold and I get it. The campaign cover and the drill
Yeah.
instructors have that personality for that purpose, and they
Right.
work hard for that.
Well, street
know?
cred too, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's the whole purpose is that because you can't wear the campaign cover
Once you earn
when
it.
you're out there unless you did it as
Yeah.
a drill instructor.
Yeah.
I understand the pride, but I was just like, that'd be a cool opportunity. Like that's something I didn't get to experience. So.
Did you have like a final sit down? Hey, this is it. I'm getting out. What
Yeah.
y'all think?
Yeah.
Or
So
was
the
everyone like, fuck yeah, it's about time?
yes and no, man. Like a lot of this guy, it was kind of like a one little thing after the other that like was just didn't work out. So they actually called me up and were trying to get me to come back for MSG because they rate first sergeant, right? All the command posts around the world. There's like 7 regions that are deployed throughout the world. They were like, "Hey, we need someone in South Africa." I was like, "Let's go, dude!" Before I even asked my wife, I'm like, "She'll want the experience for the family." You know what I mean? And we've never been to Africa. Let's do it. Like I have, but my family hasn't. So yeah, I was talking with the sergeant major of MSG duty. McKessage is the unit. And he was like, "Man, like, hang on, let me call my monitor. I need you out there, but it's only like 2 months away." I'm like, "I'll make it happen, man. I'll jump through hoops again." And he was like, "The monitor's my buddy, let me give him a call." And then I didn't hear from him. So I called him back, he called my cell phone directly to ask me that if I wanted to do it. And I called him back like 3 or 4 days later, I forget what it was, and I was like, "Hey, Sergeant Major, I haven't heard back from you." He's like, "Damn, man, the monitor's my buddy, man. He wouldn't release you." And it was because he was like, if you get selected on this board, then they potentially would have to pull you back
Mm,
and you wouldn't be able to do the full tour.
okay.
So again, one of those like awesome opportunities that I didn't get because the timing didn't
Timing.
work up with that. So I was like, well, what if I write a letter? I asked him, I said, what if I write a letter that prevents me from getting promoted? Like I'll write a letter saying, keep me as a first sergeant. I'm going to retire. I'll do this.
Mm.
I'll do this, rotation and then I'll come back and get out. And he was like, "No, that looks really bad on your career because if you do try to stay in, the Marine Corps obviously wants you to fill billets
Right.
if they can." So I got it again. It was one of those like, "Hey, this if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out." It's kind of selfish on my part. It sucks, but it is what it is. So I had to tell the wife like, "No, we're not going now," because I got her all excited. So between that and then the monitor telling me like, "We're not gonna send you East Coast," like I'm not gonna commit to those orders until we get promoted and commit to the time. I was like, yeah, I played it long enough to understand the
Okay.
difference. And there was too many quotas. They call it a hot fill list. It shows all vacancies for 89.99s. there was like 20 on there for California. And I was like, he's probably not going to move me. You know, it saves money. It's all that. And I'm not saying it, common sense says that was probably the right decision. But for me personally, it just didn't work out. So
Okay.
I think I had that conversation Friday, Monday morning. I dropped papers at the S1.
Okay. And
Yeah.
retire?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long from the time you dropped papers to retirement? How long was that actual process?
About a year. I
Okay.
planned it out. Yeah, it was
Okay.
about a year.
Okay.
That I was like, okay, that gives me time to
So
prepare.
it's a little bit more than turning your 2 weeks notice of being walked out, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All
But
right,
I
cool.
did, part of that was me submitting a package for SkillBridge. So SkillBridge was like a program that they came out with. Basically, that's like it helps you transition to
Okay.
civilian life, and you intern for a company.
Okay.
So you get on basically on the website, and there's a list of companies that you could choose from to intern. So I did a remote job with a company called Nutanix. Great opportunity. Like I learned so much. Like it was very beneficial to what I was how to prepare.
Mhm.
You do a lot of interviews and you're meeting a lot of like people and all that. And so it was a tech company. So I was like, oh, yeah, but I was like pretty much serving as like a project manager for
Okay.
them, doing a lot of projects. Even with they had the um, D, DEI section that I kind of learned a little bit of from, and they wanted experience um, from what we do in the Marine Corps to kind of see how it relates to what
What
they
they're
can do in their
Yeah, what they
company,
got going on.
which is
Okay.
a big corporate, IT company. So it was cool. I mean, the thing is that the the unit you loses you, and they usually can't get a backfill for that 6 months. So you got to have somebody, you got to train somebody up and fill the position and
Okay.
things like that. So luckily, I had somebody that had already come to replace me, and they just kind of had me float. They had me like prepare the next Marine Corps ball, things like that as I was getting out. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Did you remind them at all that you had that 350 person Marine
Yeah, oh,
Corps? You're like,
everybody knew about.
hey man,
There was talks.
this
Yeah,
this is me. I'm that guy.
so my CO at that time was also on MSG.
Okay.
He came from MSG to our unit. So we already kind of knew a little bit about each other and like all that. So as soon as he heard, he just wanted to talk, man. He
Yeah.
just loved
Cool.
he loved the program, and so did I. So we would talk MSG stuff. He
Okay.
just pulled me in the office like, "Hey, Gunny," or First Sergeant, whatever. Even when I was a gunny, we met, and he was just pulled me in the office and like, "Let's just talk about, what
All right.
what stuff you did, all where you
Cool.
been, all that."
Did you seek employment right away after you
Yeah,
retired?
so I actually moved to Bluffton. I went to a golf college with my GI Bill. I
Sweet.
wanted to get into golf. So I was like, I finished my
Hey
degree.
man, they're accredited, right?
Yeah, I finished my degree when I was in, I hit it hard when I was on MSG duty as a
Okay.
gunny, actually. Like I was like, I gotta get this done. This was one of my goals. That would have been the only thing that would have kept me in the Marine Corps is if I didn't finish my degree. That
Okay.
was always my goal. So I finished my bachelor's degree in business. I was kind of looking for that next step, but yeah, that's kind of where it was at that
Okay.
time. Yeah.
All right. So you went through the golf school. You're here in the Low Country and all that, man. How was life for you at the time?
It was transitioning is a little different, and as much as they try to prepare you with the courses and all that kind of stuff, I spent a lot of time preparing, and when I got out, and you hear it a lot, man, with veterans, and all my buddies were warning me and like, "Hey, man, you really loved it. Like, you gave your whole heart to the Marine Corps, your family, everything." Like, I was really like that was my thing. When I came back in the Marine Corps, that was my life. And I still count bumper stickers and all that stuff. It was a difficult transition, like, even for my wife and family. My wife, like my daughter, she just turned 12, but at the time, she was like 10, 11. She was like, "Dad, what do I call you now?" Like, like I tell all my friends at school that you were a Marine and stuff. Like, what do I call you now? I don't really even know what you do or what, you know what I mean? And
Right.
she like struggled with it. Like,
Yes.
I miss, like, she even like calls, like, she considers like the Marines that were at the embassies and stuff like her uncles. Like, that was her. She remembers who brought ice cream to her
Mm.
birthday and things like that. Like, those are the memories she has growing up as a kid. We weren't around family. The family was the Marine Corps family and the embassy families that we grew up around. So yeah, all those things like just started kind of like um, trying to work through that and figure it out. But I think the biggest thing that I struggle with, which I also recognize that a lot of people struggle with, is like finding that purpose, finding that thrill, that
Yeah.
deployment, that feeling you get when you're about to deploy and you get that rush of excitement, and like the what's gonna happen, and
Yeah.
like
We're
not
doing it.
knowing how do I find that? Like where do I find that? And that brings me to OpFob. That's where I transitioned to OpFob. And I was looking for places to um like find that veterans were doing and hanging out. And I know the VFWs, I've been in there, they got cheap beers and
Yeah.
but that's it. Like that's kind of where you're at with that. It's
Yep.
like you can hear around and hear some great stories and share stories and stuff. But at the end of the day, most people go there and have a bunch of beers and save
Yeah.
money. And but
What was going on besides the
mm.
lack of purpose? Did you have anything else going on that you felt like you really needed something like the guys at OpFob in your life to get you straight and kind of let you know that, hey man, you still got a purpose?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, like during that transition, man, I started to struggle with alcohol. So the program here is like a peer-to-peer thing. So just coming out and being around the guys and finding out like a lot of these guys, like same thing, they quit drinking. I've been sober a year and 7 months now.
Awesome.
So that is a opportunity that OpFob provided, you know what I mean? And it's different because like the association that they have with each other, it's just a bunch of guys that are just talking and kind of telling like how they felt and how they
Mhm.
feel. And what's good about it is like you recognize so many of the situations and the stories that relate to you, and you start to see like, damn man, like maybe there's a little bit more that we were dealing with that we didn't recognize. And a
Mhm.
lot of it was in the grind and all that, and it's, there's no pity party or anything like that here. It's like, hey man, like we're here to have a good time. And this is how we relieve the stress and the anxiety and all the things like, and if, I don't know if we're going to get to that yet, Chris, but if you ask me one word to describe this place and or anybody else, you're going to hear a bunch of different
Yep.
options. For me, I would call this place home. Like, when you drive through that front gate, it's a feeling, man, and if you could even videotape that, you pass that flagpole, right? There's a memorial surrounding it, with some benches that you could sit on. I walked up there last night, man, when everybody went to bed, I walked up there last night and was like, I would just wanna see some names, and just kinda read years and things like that. And you look up at the flag and stuff like that. So when you pull into this thing and you see the sign, everything just drops, dude, all the weight on your shoulders, the things that are running through your head, and when you come through that gate, dude, you're about to have a good time. And whether that's shooting clays, shooting guns, having breakfast, you've been experiencing this the last couple days. Like this is what we do week in and week out.
Yeah.
And when it's I'm at a phase now where now I want to be the peer. I want to be the other side.
Purpose.
Correct. That's the purpose that I found here where you met them today. There's young guys active duty coming from
Yeah.
Paris Island and the air station here close by. We're only 20, 30 minutes away from the bases. Those guys come here to volunteer, but the best thing, man, and it is on a Saturday morning when you see World War II vets and some of these guys in their 90s sitting with active duty Marines, and the Marines are just like mouth drop open and listening to the stories. Like that there's no better experience than you can receive is hearing those
Yeah.
stories.
It's a I don't my goal in all this of coming down here, preserving the stories is I want to make sure that I accurately, as best as I can, show this, man. This is amazing what is happening.
Yeah.
And this is this is special. Um, it's needed. And what they have done down here, what you all because they've given you the space, they've given you the welcome, right? But it's up to everyone who's taken part of it to make it what it is.
Mhm.
And the way people have gelled around it, the way people have embraced it, and the way people have chosen to get involved down here, man, it's special.
Yeah.
It is special. And I used to when I started this whole journey of mine with with the foundation, want to get involved with the podcast, I always had the premise of like, I'm pissed off that these places have to exist. because Uncle Sugar's not doing it. We don't want him doing it. The government couldn't do this.
Yeah.
They
Agreed.
couldn't.
Yeah.
They couldn't, and I don't want them doing it. So I've kind of moved beyond that because I want JR out there. I want you out there. I want Jimmy out there. I want freaking Vance donating his time, coming
Yeah.
out here and helping everyone, man. Because at the end of the day, you get a group of guys together, right? Okinawa, the embassies, you get to know everyone. You get to know nuances. You get to know what's making these people tick. You know how to take care of them,
Mhm.
right? And then they get to, s- it, it's a good cancer.
Yeah.
It's a good cancer.
Yeah.
It spreads. And the work down here that OpFob is doing, man, is just so awesome. It is. And, a lot of these podcasts, man, I hear about it. I got Russell, Warriors of Nature. I got RSO Nation, a few others. And I haven't experienced those. They're all doing great work.
Yeah.
But for me, this is special, man, because my shoulders are getting bruised. We're going home smoked every day from down here with the wonderful time we have, man. But just the fact that and this is what I admire about guys like you, TJ, is that you're like, now it's my turn. And it goes back to, we always have more to give. You know, you beat your struggle with the bottle, right? They put their arms around you. You're like, all right, now it's my turn to go out there and put my arms around someone else.
Yeah.
So now that you want to be the peer, man, I mean, what a great evolution, man.
Yeah, and you see some of these younger guys, man, that feed off the stories and things like that, when I see them embrace that, man, I just feel like it's another avenue for me to, like, reach out. Like, yeah, I did some fun stuff and, like, career was cool and stuff, man, and I'm happy to talk about that. But, like, let's like, what can I do to help you? You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
That's right.
So, yeah, and it once you hear JR's story, like, I think you'll understand, like, how him and I's connection bonded. Our relationship has grown because, and it's the founder of this place, and I mean, he's just so personal and wants to take care of you. I mean, he sees my kids, man, and I see his kids, and we light up and just see them together and things like that. We come out here and the kids ride
It's
four
great,
wheelers.
man.
It's not just about us either. We
Right.
we recognize the families.
Yeah.
The first responder thing is amazing, man. Like I drive around here in the local area and drop off steaks and things like that to the fire department, invite those guys out. You see the dog program with Willie, man. Hopefully, we can get a picture of him, right? Like that's the joy that it gets when people see the even just Willie running around, man, and want to pet him, and it gives them a little bit of like stress off of it just by petting a dog, man. Like that's such an impact for us
Yeah.
as even a family. My kids see it,
Yeah.
everybody. Like when they see that community out here, dude, they feel a part of it. They feel like this is our family.
Yeah. Another thing I picked up here too is I mean, yeah, you got guys like Grumpy, right, going around there, right, holding people accountable. But the conversations I have is, you bring a goal to OpFob, getting straight with whatever you got going on. There's going to be accountability,
Yeah,
and that, I've said before, I don't believe you can hold yourselves account like, I can't hold myself accountable. I got too many easy avenues out of it, man. Excuses,
mhm,
So to have people here, that are willing, that are gonna hold you accountable,
yeah,
man. So the accountability factor down here, and then putting their arms around you, man, and keep, and get you, it's just so freaking amazing, man.
yeah,
It's amazing, and, I've heard arguments, OpFob, TJ, all those guys, man, Brett, Brady, Parker, all of them. They're gonna be there for you, man.
yeah,
They're gonna be there, and
yeah,
you're gonna be there for them. And there's guys that are out there serving right now, man. They don't realize it now. They're gonna come here one day, and then you're gonna be there for them.
yeah,
And it's gonna start that cycle. It's gonna keep that evolution chain going again, and then they get to be there for someone, man.
yeah.
So just thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and
See,
that's where I really feel like I'm in such a great place now, mentally, physically, everything, where now I know I could really put it out there to have a purpose, and again, if you look at OpFob's website and stuff, you don't see it.
you don't
You roll through those gates and you're like, "Dude, this is what they're talking about? Oh my god."
yeah,
You don't get a better setting than the barn. So, it's just like the perfect backdrop and opportunity. And people are like, "Well, what do you guys really do?" And it's like, "Oh, outdoor recreation and things like that." But you can only say so many words to really
right.
try to understand it. But we're not just out there fishing. dude, the fishing is just the tool to get the
Yep.
conversations
Those
going.
shotguns are just a
Correct.
tool.
And if you
Right.
and if you
The
grab
rifle range is just a tool. The fire pit's just a tool.
amen.
The
Yep.
fish pond is just a tool.
Correct. And it's fun.
Yeah.
You're enjoying it while you're doing it. If you catch a fish, man,
Yeah.
hopefully it's the biggest one.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it beats going into the typical office, waiting room, a door, open it up.
Yeah.
Come on, have a seat. Yeah. No, man, this is the shit,
Yeah.
man.
And we'll find a way to relate to you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We have somebody here that has been through exactly what you've been through multiple times.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people here to support that.
Yeah.
So, man.
You know, OpFob is wonderful, man. It's another place. It's another medium. It's another tool for, for veterans and the first responders down here. And I can't thank them enough, man, for what they're doing for the community. What a great weekend to be down here, man.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate your time coming out
course,
here. And
man.
we're so thrilled, man, to see guys like you and Vance and all that come here and just see
yeah.
and feel it and be part of
Yeah.
it. I think you being involved in it, the paintball shooting and just the guns and stuff like that. I think that was built in. Now you really get the feel for just a little
absolutely.
glimpse, a couple days, man, of what we do out here. You know,
Yeah,
so,
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, you and I, we got 2 Marines, man.
yeah,
We've exchanged info. We're going to keep in touch with each other. I'm thrilled, man. The busy days out here in the FOB, man, for you to take, this time out to get Vance out here helping us out. All right, guys, this is it, man. Thanks again for checking out the Not So Special Forces podcast. We did it. We're, I guess, the first episode of the rundown here at OpFob down here in Ridgeland, South Carolina. I want you guys to support OpFob. I want to thank you, TJ.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, that's it. We were feet dry. We're going to stay on base, I guess. So, all right. Thanks, everyone.